Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the ReelTok Podcast, episode 145. My name is George. I'm sat alongside my beautiful co-hosts, Mr. Cam, Mr. Tyler. Seth should be joining us, I think, in maybe like an hour or so, maybe even a half hour since we started a little late. So that remains to be seen. So if you see a British dude pop up out of nowhere, don't be frightened. He's not going to try to hurt you. He's just going to talk to us about movies. But we got a good episode for you guys today. We're talking How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. We're going to talk How to Train Your Dragon animated as well. We decided to do a little double feature review of the animated film. Not maybe really a review of the animated film, more so just a quick roundup of our thoughts. And then we'll talk the live action film. We also have Celine Song's sophomore outing, The Materialists. I keep saying The Materialists because I feel like that just sounds so much cleaner, but it's just Materialists, and it's really throwing me off. But we'll talk about that as well. And then we got, of course, our latest trailers, our latest movie news. But as always, every week, shout out to our executive producers, Mr. Stefan Johnson, Cody Whitney, and Cole Beaver. You guys are absolute kings. And shout out to all of our patrons, as always, for being just incredibly active and fun members of this little ReelTok community that we have built. Gentlemen, how are we doing? I've missed you guys. I know we say this all the time when we miss episodes, but it really does. Even though we text every day, it does feel like a while since I've spoken to you guys, and I think that's just a credit to how big a part of my life ReelTok has been. So, how you guys doing? Cam, we'll start with you. What's going on? Good morning.
Is that
Cam,
a pickleball short?
Happy Father's Day, Cam.
Oh yeah, happy Father's Day, Cam. I forgot about that.
Yeah, is that a pickleball shirt, George?
It is. Yeah, it's my.
I thought you hate pickleball.
Yeah, well,
I thought you were like anti.
All right. Let me explain. There's a good explanation. I came home for the weekend. I didn't check the weather forecast. I didn't realize it was supposed to be a little colder and rainy on Long Island. It's a really shitty weekend. So I didn't bring any sweatshirts or pullovers. So this is the only one that I had left home. It's not even mine. It's my sister's boyfriend's. So yeah,
I don't know. George Carmi, pro pickleball. Carmi, big pickleball fan.
I went to play tennis yesterday, and I showed up wearing this, and I get to the counter to like check in for my court time, and the guy looks at me and goes, "What are you here for?" And I look around, and I'm like, "What do you mean? What am I here for? I'm here to play tennis." And he's like, "Oh, you're just wearing the pickleball shirt." I was confused, and I was like, "Do you even have pickleball courts?" He's like, "No, we don't." And I'm like, "So why are you asking me? Like, I'm holding." Dude, I'm holding 3 confused. Tennis rackets in my hand. I'm like, obviously, I'm here to play tennis. But yeah, no, pickleball's fine. Whatever, I don't care.
I'm doing well. Yeah, Father's Day. Not a whole lot going on. It's been a good week, I guess. A very casual week. I feel like I just opened my Letterboxd and got jump scared. And I haven't been able to go on Letterboxd past like 10 p.m. because of the fucking nun. So thank you guys for that. Just rude.
That was so funny. I saw that before I watched last week's episode, and I was like, wait, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. Last night was just an awful night of sleep for our kids. So I don't know what the heck was going on with them, but Bailey was up. Like I woke up at like 4 a.m. randomly because Sutton was crying, and Bailey was like sitting next to me. I don't know if he was. I don't know what happened. If I woke up earlier and told him to get in bed and just hang out, or I don't know what happened, but he was sitting next to us like waiting for us to hang out. Dude, it's 4 a.m. You got to go to bed, man. Sutton was just up a lot. And then when I woke up at 7, so I set an alarm at 7:30, woke up at 7:45 because I slept through it. So sorry. He was sitting on the stairs just playing. I'm like, dude, did you sleep at all? But I think he's fine. But yeah, just a rough night's sleep for the Walsh compound. Just kind of just struggled. But otherwise not doing a whole lot this week. Didn't really do anything. My garage door broke, so that just sucks. Can't get in or out of the garage, so like haven't been able to mow or anything. Just annoying. other than that, not a ton going on at all. Didn't watch a ton this week other than like Stranger Things. Got through that entire series. Watched the How to Train Your Dragon. What's up?
I was gonna say you moved through Stranger Things.
Yeah, it took me like 2 weeks. About
Yeah, you got
a little, maybe a week. I don't even remember. No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks probably. Week and a half. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, watched through Stranger Things. Which it's one thing to give us content every like 3 years, like definitely way too little, but I respect the amount of content they at least give, because that last season is like an hour and a half each episode, or an hour 15 to an hour and a half each episode. And then the last episode's like 2.5 hours. At the very least, it's not a 3-year break, 45-minute, 8 episodes. Like at the very least, we're getting films coming out damn near. So yeah, shout out Stranger Things. Good show. Big fan.
At The Last of Us, 7 episodes, 50 minutes each.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So
yeah,
there you go. They were 9 episodes. There was like probably 15 hours of content. So yeah, shout out Stranger Things at least for that. Brought my hype back. It was one of those shows that I'm like, yeah, I like, but I don't really care for this new season. Got my hype back. Now I'm excited for the new season, ready to rock and roll. Not sure what slop is gonna come on the agenda next. We'll see. Trying to get Emma to watch the Hunger Games. That'll probably be next, but she wants to watch the Twilights, but we watched like 30 minutes of one 2 weeks ago and have not come back to them. So I don't feel like her heart's really in it. I feel like we can switch the slop around.
Go through Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean, she would not care for, I don't think.
Damn.
I don't think. Yeah, not sure. That's really it that's going on with me. I'm just very tired, so kind of out of it. Sorry, and I know Tyler gets up way earlier than me, but I swear I was up all night. So
at least I don't have kids, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Random shout out. Listeners, girlfriend messaged us. Shout out, happy birthday, Logan. It was
yeah.
It was like 3 or 4 days ago, and I completely forgot to send a message back to them. So then I felt bad. So now shout out Logan. That's very much that's my bad on the lack of a birthday message. But happy birthday, Logan. Shout out your girlfriend.
Shout out your girlfriend Erin for being great. She emailed me too, and I saw the email on his birthday, and I was like, oh shit. Buzzer beater, like we're here, we're locked in.
Yeah, I missed it. I'm the worst, but happy birthday, Logan. Hope it was a good one. And go watch Palm Springs. There's a random recommendation. Random on my mind because of last week.
Palm Springs got to be the most talked about movie on our podcast.
I don't think I've even watched it since starting.
I was gonna say the most talked about movie that none of us have rewatched since its release, most likely.
Yeah, great movie though. Really good
movie. Tyler, how you doing? You got a lot of travel coming up.
Yes, I do. So this week Riley was gone. She was on vacation with her family in Texas since Tuesday. So right after this episode, I got to go to the airport to pick her up. But she seemed like she had a good time. She hit her nose on the side of a pool and like got a gnarly scab and like really swollen. So like,
oh shit.
There was a moment in time she thought she broke her nose, but it seems like it's all good. So I don't know. We'll see. I haven't seen her
diving
since.
in or just
what was she doing?
I don't really even know. I don't know the story.
Can't be diving in a short pool.
No, it definitely wasn't diving, but just
can't be running on the pool deck either.
Yeah,
it could be that.
Basic rules, right?
But her phone also broke, so she got a new phone as well. So, I mean, shout out kind of being like at your parents when your phone breaks, though, because they'll help you sort that out, which is nice.
Yeah.
But so I got to pick her up today. For me, just been this week. Like tomorrow, I fly out and I'm traveling, so I have a lot of travel lined up all across the country up before George's wedding. So exciting, I guess, but I tend to not like travel when it's for business. I love travel for personal. But this week, let's see, just been chilling at home, trying to get some stuff done, posting TikToks, all kinds of good stuff. Went on Well, so you guys saw my sunburn last night. So I went on a walk yesterday, got a mean sunburn. Just still building up the base layer for summer. You know, Arizona's crazy. We're over 100 degrees, and it's
That's awful.
The UV's 12. And I mentioned it the other week, like before moving down south, I didn't even know UVs went over 10, but UV 12 at like 10 a.m. just gnarly. You just burn immediately, even with sunscreen on. Like I go on like an hour-long walk, but you need to reapply every like 15 minutes when the sun's that crazy. So by the time I get back from my walk, I'm toast. So we're building up the base layer. The day before it, though, as you guys know, I'm a very scheduled, routine person. So like on my to-do list, I have everything planned like to a T. So like Mondays and Fridays are the day I go check the mail because our mailbox isn't like right in front of our house. Like I know in some suburban households, it's like at like this mailbox bank at the end of the street, and we don't get a ton of mail. So it's like just twice a week is all we need. So Mondays and Fridays. So I went on a walk on Friday, an hour-long walk. And if you don't live in extreme temperatures, you may have never experienced this, but growing up in Minnesota and now in Arizona, I've experienced both sides of the spectrum. But when it's really, really cold, like under 0 or really hot, like over 100, your phone can just like die in a snap. Like your battery just like overheats or freezes, and it'll just like, even if you have like 70% left, your phone will just shut off, and then you try to turn it on, it's like battery dead. And you're like, I know my battery's not dead. But that happened to me on my walk. And to get in my garage, I like have an app on my phone. And that's how I do it. Like we've lived here over 3 years. I still have never figured out my garage code. Like I always use the app on my phone. So I went on a walk. My phone died like halfway through. So I was like, great. How am I going to get in? I had my keys though, because it was Friday. And Fridays I checked the mail. So if I didn't have my keys, I would have been screwed. Although I went to my front door, and because we're selling our house and our house on the market, you have to have like a key for like the real estate agent. So that's my key. So I didn't even have a key to get in the house. My key was the key to the garage door. But like, if I can't open the garage, that kind of ruins the point of that. So I was like, okay, got to figure out what's next. Next move was my car. Luckily I had a charger for my phone in my car. So I went in my car, turned on the car, and just sat in my driveway for 15 minutes while my phone charged, turned back on, got the garage open. With Riley out of town, I would have been toast because I don't know anyone's numbers by hand. So I'm like, I would have to like knock on a neighbor's door and be like, can I charge my phone? Do you have any USB-Cs, bro? Because my dogs are just chilling inside. Like I was like, yeah, there's like not a single window or door in my entire house that would be like unlocked that I could like even MacGyver through if I wanted to. So it was like, man, if it wasn't Friday, if this happened like a day earlier and it wasn't mail day, I don't bring my keys on walks. But I guess from now on I will. But
I can't remember if I said this last week or if I texted you guys, but I had to break into my house.
Yeah, you did.
You texted us.
You Jason Bourne through a window.
Yeah, I had to climb through a window because we locked ourselves out. So I understand that feeling. I feel like it's a classic. Yeah, you have to do it as a homeowner at some point in your life.
Yeah. So luckily, major crisis was averted. But yeah, I've just been chilling at home, and it'll be nice to get Riley back though. But it's a bummer that I just got to take right off, and we're kind of trading places because like basically right now with waiting on our move, we're trying to not have like ever both of us gone, except obviously George's wedding. But hopefully we're like in the process of moving by that time. But trying to not have both of us gone at the same time in case someone wants to like, see the house or whatever.
How's home selling going?
Been on the market about a month and have no showings, so
I'm
not doing well. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's basically at this point, it's probably for sure not going to be even close to sold by the time George's wedding comes. But that's fine. We're chilling. Like our hard out would be like October or November, so we still got plenty of time. But the sooner the better. But yeah, I was happy to see everyone excited in the comments about like the yap session about George's wedding. George, do you enjoy listening to our yap session?
Yeah.
About your wedding?
Oh, that was a long yap session about my wedding.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
But no, that's exciting. I'm like getting this itinerary together for you guys, and I keep going back and forth on what I want to show you in New York.
Well, Cam's anti-museum, so we can just drop him off wherever if he doesn't.
I don't really care.
Are you actually?
I don't really care for historical locations,
dude. The Met is like number one on my list.
I mean that's fine. I'll go. I'm not going to be like overjoyed for it, but I will of course go and be happy.
What if I told you on the roof of the Met is this really cool outdoor bar that overlooks Central Park?
You nailed it.
So, that's we don't have to spend too much time in the Met.
I feel like being from Indiana, like I haven't grown to appreciate history. As not much history is around here, so
that's why you got to go to the Met, man. We'll go. The plan is
I've grown to appreciate random bars.
It's good. The
joy.
Met has a random bar on the roof, but you
Perfect.
guys either Monday or Tuesday we'll do your city day, and then whichever day we don't do the city will be like the relaxing day of just hanging out at the Airbnb at the pool and just drinking and
Yeah, I got to give Emma at least one day at the pool.
Yeah, we'll do that'll most likely be Monday because I'd imagine you guys fly in Sunday. You'll want to relax Monday, and then Tuesday we could do the city day. But the whole plan.
What are we doing Sunday, George? What are we doing Sunday? You come?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah, you're coming a little earlier than most, so we'll go. I'll pick you up. We'll go grab some breakfast. We'll come back to Long Island. Yeah, we'll get some brekkie. We'll hang out. We'll come to my parents' house because I know, dude. My grandma is so excited to meet you guys. My grandma is our most. She's our most loyal.
Oh, yeah.
No, every time I see her, she's mentioning something of the previous. All she watches is the "How have we been doing?" Because obviously she's an old Greek woman. She doesn't care about the movie section.
Fair.
So every time I see her, which has been more often lately, because she moved like literally 5 minutes away from my parents' house as opposed to like the hour and a half she used to live away from us. But every time I see her now, she's asking like. Not even asking. She's just bringing up either Cam and your children, Tyler in Arizona, how's Seth doing over the pond, talking about his personal training life or whatever. She's our most loyal. She's been asking. She's like, are they coming to rehearsal dinner? Are they going to be at the wedding? Am I see them? Are we going to take pictures? I'm like, yeah, you're good. You'll see.
You're going to see me just like profusely sweating, trying to meet new people. This is going to be hell. I love it. Can't wait. Can't wait to meet you, Nana. Grandma, Nona.
I'm excited. Yeah, is in Greek.
Yeah. For some reason, no real connection. Emma's mom has Bailey and Sutton call her Yaya.
That's pretty sick. Is she Greek?
She's not Greek. No, not Greek really at all. Not any connection or anything. Didn't know it was Greek. Just kind of what she was asking.
Rolls off the tongue.
We've got Nana, we've got Nana, we've got Yaya, we've got them all. So I think it was like just another. It's easier than just having like 3 Nanas, I guess. Like he doesn't really know them other than by their Nana or Yaya or anything. So yeah,
having one Yaya is always great. But I'm excited for the rehearsal dinner for you guys because that's you'll meet. Like the rehearsal dinner, we kept it to just the bridal party. So my side, Victoria's side, and then like our immediate family, and then anyone that's like flying in, like you guys. So you'll meet like the closest people in my life all in one night. And they're all very excited to meet you, obviously. And I keep telling them, I'm like, please don't like stress Cam out because he will go.
I'm going to black out just purely off of like being afraid of human beings.
I'm gonna put on a fake persona, like the sunglasses on indoors, shaking hands without making eye contact. Like I'm just like better than everyone. Like I'm some hotshot celebrity.
I told you. We're gonna have some sort of bit. We'll have some.
Once we cross 10K subscribers on YouTube, I'm not giving anyone the time of day. I'm gonna walk around just like I'm just
big time,
the flyest guy in town. It's gonna be exciting. I'm very excited to be in New York, and the in-person content should be interesting. It should be fun. I think everyone is very much anticipating it, but low key is probably gonna be like one of our like lesser produced episodes because like we're probably like we don't have like an in-person filming setup, and this will be like our one time doing an in-person pod. So we're not gonna like get cameras and like have these mic setups. Like realistically, it's probably gonna be like all of us in the Airbnb, but like in like separate like corners or something with like a laptop, and it'll look pretty similar. We're probably gonna have like different.
Oh wait! I was thinking we just sit 4 wide on my couch with one camera right in front of us.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I don't know how we're getting like 4 mics plugged into one computer unless we're like passing the torch, and then I feel like that's not.
So we were just trying to find what's this. We need to find a random studio.
Yeah, Sophie had sent me that new house thing that I sent you guys because Spotify is not working out. The girl from Spotify that I was talking to apparently said that someone booked the studio that entire week. So that's kind of whack.
That someone is not as big as ReelTok.
No, absolutely not. There's no way. But yeah, where's that new house? I'm not going to pull it up now, but like that new house is a possibility.
That looks like a subscription thing though.
So you can book. So it's mostly from what I've gathered, and maybe I just didn't look into it deep enough, but it's mostly like a workspace where you can rent out like office space if you need like meeting rooms, or if you just need like a study hall or a study room. It's kind of like I guess like a glorified library without books. It's just like rooms, but they have like podcasting rooms. I don't know if that means they'll supply us with cameras.
If they're not supplying everything,
then it's not worth it.
Screwed.
Yeah. So then that I'll have to look into. But I don't know.
If it works out cool, if not, we'll figure something out in the Airbnb. But it's like I'm just like tampering people's expectations. It's not going to be like a in-person podcast setup like a Joe Rogan or anything else you're accustomed to, where it's like a full studio with like all of us together and it's gonna be super nice and polished. Like it's gonna be a little clunky, but in person will be generational. I'm already planning on we'll do like a big like Q&A for sure. We'll probably review Fantastic Four, and that'll probably be like an in-person review. So we'll because that week like we're gonna have to film something before, so like we have like, something for that Monday while we're like in town, and then the rest of the pod will film while we're in person, whether it's all at once or like through little chunks throughout the week. And then when I get back Sunday,
we're gonna have to do like Friday morning Fantastic Four before George gets like onto wedding
or Thursday night. I don't know.
Yeah, it might have to be Thursday night, honestly.
That's fair.
But if we get, that's what I'm saying. Like earlier in the week, we could just film like the rest of the pod, like doing like Q&A and just general like chit chat, and then we just like do the Fantastic Four section later because that would be pressing one.
We should do it poolside. We'll tell Bob Goochman, I know you're listening. He's probably not. Get it. Let us come to Barstool. And
someone give us a podcasting room.
Someone give us a podcasting room. Someone in New York give us a podcasting room. It's needed. We should do like a live Fantastic Four pod from the AMC Lincoln Square.
From our seats, not even get out.
Tell them to let us just sit there all night. I know you have Fantastic Four showings, but this is the ReelTok Podcast.
Yeah, come on.
We almost are at 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. You've never had anyone bigger.
It'll be a good time. What I've been watching this week, I mentioned this last week. I was like halfway through at the time of the pod last week, but I watched Borderline. It's a movie from this year starring Samara Weaving, directed by her husband, Jimmy Warden. Also starring Ray Nicholson, Jack Nicholson's son. Movie's like aggressively okay, maybe even a little bad, but I think Ray Nicholson's he's got the juice. He's got his father's mannerisms and facial expressions down to a T, to where someone who isn't his son, you'd be like, oh, he's just trying to imitate. He's just trying to imitate Jack Nicholson, but for his son, I'm just like, I feel like that's just the genetics of Nicholson, just like flowing through his body. So I really liked him. Didn't really care for the movie though. It's just like about basically this psychopath stalks this pop star artist who is Samara Weaving and wants to marry her with threat of violence, which I was like, kind of interesting for like Samara Weaving's husband to direct a movie about like a man psychotically wanting to marry her and kill her. And I'm like, that's we'll see if something comes out about Jimmy Warden being a creep later or like wanting to kill his wife. Like why you put your wife in a movie where you just married her and you're like, yeah, I want to kill my wife. Watch Amadeus. Shout out George O'Mahony. I'm going on his podcast. Actually, I think it's out tomorrow for people watching this. Reviewing Amadeus. So a classic, one of the all-time greats. Haven't revisited in a while, so very happy to have rewatched it. Watched Miley Cyrus's concert, or not concert, just like visual album, movie accompaniment. Something beautiful. I haven't seen Hurry Up Tomorrow yet, but I imagine there's no way this was any worse than that because I really like this. So I had a great time with it. I really like Miley Cyrus's music anyway, so it was pretty easy for me to like. Watch Get Hard. Cam hates this movie, gives it a half star.
Yeah.
I think
Why did you watch that?
I was like just throwing something on for like an easy watch, and it was like the first thing recommended on like Netflix or something. It was like in the top 10 on Netflix. So I was like, oh, sure, I'll throw this on. And I've seen it before. I guess I didn't mark the rewatch thing on Letterboxd. I'll fix that now. But I don't know. I get laughs out of this movie. Will Ferrell is still like hitting on all cylinders at this time. Kevin Hart, when I saw this, was like not quite oversaturated for me yet. So I think I saw a good time with Get Hard. And then 3 theater movies. So Phoenician Scheme, you guys already reviewed on the podcast. I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. I wish I loved it more. I did love Michael Cera, though. I wish he will be in every Wes Anderson film going forward. He gives such a way more dynamic performance than I expected because all the trailers obviously show like the goofy side of him. But once you see the movie, you realize there's like a lot more to his character than that. And I think he just knocks it out of the park. But I feel like for me at least, I saw so many clips of this on my For You page from like the Phoenician Scheme, like the studio itself, like promoting the movie before it came out. So I feel like a lot of like the funny clips, I was like, damn, I wish I would have saw that the first time in theaters because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Benicio del Toro I thought was great as well. Like the entire cast as well. Michael Cera was like clearly the standout. I really like the score of this movie as well. I still found it to be pretty dynamic for Wes Anderson. I know a lot of people say he just like rinses and repeats the same shooting style, but I feel like there's some new fresh stuff in here, like stuff that I feel like I started to see in the Roald Dahl shorts now carrying over to his films. But the story itself just wasn't my favorite. And the thematic element just didn't hit as hard as it did for me in previous films. So I gave it a 3-star. And then How to Train Your Dragon live action and Materialists, we will talk about here shortly. And then watch Some Like It Hot, which will be our Patreon review. Billy Wilder's Some Like It Hot will be our Patreon review on Friday. So make sure you check that out if you want to see our review of that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I've been gone. I mean, I've been gone a lot lately, a lot of weddings this week, but I was gone last week for my buddy's wedding in Long Beach Island. It was at a really nice resort, Long Beach. What was it called? It was called LBI National. It was like a golf resort. So we got down Friday. He took all of us groomsmen out golfing. And then Saturday was the wedding, which was really nice. It was a beautiful resort, really nice reception hall. So congratulations to Doug and Kaylee on their marriage, the second of the 9 weddings that Victoria have this year. But that was a ton of fun.
9 weddings sounds like it'll be the sequel to 10 Dates. Shout out Owen and
yeah.
Only 9 of them work out. One faithfully doesn't.
Yeah. But yeah, Victoria and I have been very tired lately. We've been really running back and forth from Long Island to New York to out of town a lot. And then, even when we're in the city, like I texted you guys, there's just so much like pressure on us to, just see everyone in the city that we love. Because, we have a lot of our close friends in the city and they're always doing stuff and, we're always very tired. So we find ourselves saying no here and there, but, it's been fun. Obviously, it's been a lovely like summer of love, I guess. And it's not done. Obviously, we have another wedding first weekend of July, and then our wedding the end of August, end of July, and then I think it's September, October, November, December. I think that's the remaining 5 after our wedding.
That's too many.
It's a lot. It's a lot. There's the good. I guess the good news is, so the first wedding of the season I was in. The second wedding of the season I was in. The third wedding of the season is in Denmark, so we're traveling. And then the fourth wedding of the season is ours. So we're getting like that clump of like busy weddings out early, because then the remaining 5, none of us are in. I think the only one we'd have to travel for is Tyler's, which is the last one of the year. So we have like a break of travel until December. So it's nice, like, we're obviously going to like be involved and get hype, but being like in a wedding is so different than just being like at a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were dancing, partying all night, like nonstop. The only time we sat down was for the speeches and like 2 minutes for dinner. Like we weren't even like eating dinner. We were like cutting our meat, eating it, getting back to the dance floor. 5 minutes later, doing the same thing. So it's so much fun, like being in a wedding. It's like this is the first time. The 2 weddings this year that I was groomsman of, that was the first weddings that I was in. So they've been awesome experiences. It's so much fun. Like, it's so much fun, like just knowing. It's also just very wholesome, like knowing that these people, like obviously I'm very close with them, but I'm so close with them that they want me to be a part of their, like the biggest day of their lives. Like it's a really like wholesome like energy, but it's also just so much fun. Like we're going crazy on the dance floor. I'm seeing my friends who I've never watched dance ever just get busy on the dance floor. So it's just so much fun. But other than that, like last week was the wedding. We haven't had too much going on. The week prior, we had gone home for like a last walkthrough of our reception hall. And then this coming week, I'm picking up our wedding bands. And then that's kind of it. Like that's the last of like the preparations that we really have to do for our wedding. Or at least like the big major preparations. Like I know Victoria has to go get fitted for her dress 1 or 2 more times. I got to go get fitted for my tux once more in like 3 weeks. But like all big preparations are done. So It's just like getting through a work week and then getting to the weekend. Next weekend is, I shit you not, like the first weekend since February where Victoria and I don't have an obligation. And then we have an obligation every weekend until like the third week of August. So we are running around like crazy. It's been a very tiring year, but again, it's like good tiring because like we're celebrating the people we love, and we're obviously going to be celebrating ourselves coming up. And I get to see you guys all together, which is incredible. But it's been tiring. We've been very tired. Obviously the movie watching is like kind of taking a hit. I'm kind of back recently. I'm not to toot my own horn, but I've watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movies in the last week. That's an insane rate for the year that I've had. I don't know where I left off with you guys. I think because we obviously talked Bring Her Back, and then I don't think I talked starting at Kraven the Hunter. So I watched Kraven the Hunter. Really bad.
I watched that randomly 2-3 months ago or something. Like,
I don't even know. It was like I think it was a Sunday or yeah, it was a Sunday, and Victoria, we were on Long Island, and Victoria hadn't come back from Long Island yet. So I was like, I'm not really in the mood to watch a movie, but like I'm not in the mood to just sit in my apartment and just like scroll TikTok. So I was like, let me just throw Kraven the Hunter on.
Yeah.
At the very least, maybe I'll be like entertained by Aaron Taylor Johnson, which like I kind of was, but no bueno. I can review Dangerous Animals quickly. The Jai Courtney shark movie, the Jai Courtney serial killer shark movie. I went to, my friend Hannah brought me as a +1 to the like New York premiere of it. It wasn't really I don't know if I would consider it a premiere. Like Jai Courtney was there. It was cool. But like, it was very casual. It was at this like, it was like this like art warehouse in Long Island City, but the event was outdoors on like their patio area. So they had like this massive blow up projector screen, and the movie didn't start till like 9:05 maybe, because they wanted to wait till the sun went down. And it was a beautiful night. It was like really nice outside. It was in Long Island City, so we were like relatively close to the water, so we got that like nice breeze. Just good vibes on watching this movie. The audience was so funny. Like you can, and I don't mean this at all in like a derogatory way, you can very clearly tell when people don't watch like gory type of movies, because there were certain things in this movie that were happening that really weren't like crazy gory, but the crowd was like freaking out. And I'm sitting there, I'm like laughing. I'm like, this is so funny watching these people like interact with this movie. There were some gnarly moments. There really were. Jai Courtney's hilarious. Hassie Harrison, who plays the lead girl, is really, she's a really great final girl, I thought. But the movie, like, I don't know, kind of like the exact movie you would expect, maybe even like better. I feel like maybe you go into like a shark movie in 2025 and you don't expect that good of quality. This is like a really fun movie to like be a part of. Like, it was really just nonstop. It's like an hour and a half long. It's really just go, and it's fun. Jai Courtney's hilarious. There are certain like really gnarly, gory bits that I appreciated. Most of the movie takes place just on a boat, so you're like stuck in this location, and they really like make the most of like every aspect, every corner of the boat. And then like, I don't want to spoil the movie because I don't think this part was like really in the trailer, but like the way Jai Courtney like
time out. Yeah. Tyler, did you watch the trailer?
No,
me neither. So
okay.
I mean, for the audience that maybe knows what Dangerous Animals is, like,
I know what it is, and I want to see it, but I don't remember seeing the trailer.
I know what it is, and I want to see it, but I didn't need to watch the trailer after I was told it was a Jai Courtney serial killer shark.
I don't think you need to watch the trailer, but basically, Jai Courtney plays this dude who's like, he's not obsessed with like killing people, he's obsessed with sharks. So his way of bringing out sharks is to kill people. And it's fucked. It's fucked, but it's like it's funny. I hate to call it funny, but it is funny. He's a funny person. So it was like a genuinely like entertaining watch. Like we say it all the time. Maybe one of those like just random movies you recommend to a coworker if they're not in the mood to pay attention to a movie. But yeah, that was good. Ballerina, of course, you guys talked about last week. I really liked Ballerina. It does fall 5th on like my John Wick franchise ranking, but I mean, you guys know how highly I think of John Wick. So calling it 5th, it's still a 4-star for me. I had such a blast. It really is like a very worthy inclusion to this franchise. Obviously, I was very nervous going into it just because of how much I love John Wick, and I didn't want to leave Ballerina feeling like, oh, it's just a shitty cash grab. But no, they committed to the bit. They committed to all the action set pieces. I thought Ana de Armas was great. I thought John Wick in this movie was great. I was very nervous that they were going to use him in like a way where it like was overdone. But I'm very happy that he was kind of in it like quickly in the beginning, gives Ballerina or whatever her name was like a quick little speech about like leaving, not even a speech. He just says 2 lines. And then he comes back in the end when they sent him to kill the ballerina. And he has like a really nice dynamic with her. So I really like Ballerina. It's certainly like in my top like 2-3 of the year right now. I had a great time with it. Very excited to watch it again. I watched Sinners again with Victoria. Finally came out on demand. Absolutely loved it. I mean, it's the 3rd time around I'm watching it, and it hits every time, man. It's so good. Everything from, you know, the introduction of Delroy Lindo to Preacher Boy's, you know, beautiful one-shot song running through generations of culture and music. Jack O'Connell is just so unbelievably good. Ludwig Göransson, of course. I don't think I'm ready to call this a better score than Oppenheimer, but I've been listening to the Sinners score so much lately, man, and it is so it gives me like this. Ludwig Göransson with Oppenheimer and Sinners, and I'm due for a Tenet rewatch, so I'm going to exclude it for now because I haven't seen it in a while. But Oppenheimer and Sinners, his music is just so like levitating. Like it makes me feel like it's the end of the world. It makes me feel so like inspired. I don't know how to like, I don't know why. I can't tell you why it makes me feel like that. He just makes me feel like I'm floating, like I'm sitting in the ocean, laying on my back, just riding some waves. Like he makes me feel just some shit that I don't know. It's beautiful. He's a fantastic composer. And he's very good. And I loved Sinners on 3rd watch. I bumped it up to that 5-star rating. I was like thinking of like, I was kind of like, after I watched Sinners, I was like very much going back and forth between like, oh, like I haven't been keeping like my 5 stars exclusive. Like I have like 105 5 stars. I just be slapping 5-star ratings onto movies. But I was thinking for Sinners, I was like, all right, like what are other like great vampire movies that I like? And I was like, let the right one in. I'd pick Sinners. Thirst. I'm taking Sinners. And then I was like, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I might be taking Sinners over Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like that's where I was like, fuck, like if I can't make that decision easily, then this movie deserves to be a 5-star. And it's still like, it even like beyond like, it still is hitting me emotionally. That's a big part of like whether or not I keep movies at 5-star or if I lower them, is like, can I watch you repeatedly and can you still elicit the same emotion? Like, and this movie does. This movie still made me smile from ear to ear on so many occasions. It had me tearing up, you know, when Stack was talking to Haley Steinfeld's character in the middle of the bar, that like really emotional conversation they have about letting her go and giving her like that white husband, that white rich husband. And she's like, I don't want him. I wanted you. And everything around them drowns out. And all you hear is them talking and fucking Ludwig Göransson's violin going in the background. Like it's such a beautiful movie, man. It's so good. I'm very obviously excited for so many films for the remainder of the year. You know, Superman, Fantastic Four being like the biggest 2 coming up. And obviously there's so many like festival films that I'll watch at New York that, you know, I haven't really seen yet, obviously. But I don't think anything's overtaking Sinners this year. I really don't. But I'll you know, keep an eye on that as the year goes on. Mm-hmm. What else? Empire Records, cute little 90s teenage coming of age type movie about these kids who are trying to save a record store. John Wick 3 I watched, so incredible. That entire final sequence in the Continental, that's like some of the best action put to movie ever. It's so unbelievable. You know, the SWAT team comes in, night vision, the lights of the Continental turn off, and you just got John Wick picking bodies, man. It's so good. It's so cool every time they run out of ammo and they run to the back and they're just like upgrading their game. They're like armor piercing bullets. It's so sick. I watched both How to Train Your Dragons, the animated and the live action. I watched The Bling Ring, Sofia Coppola's, I don't know what number film in her filmography this is, but I didn't love it, man. I really didn't. It's about like that group of friends that would rob like Paris Hilton and a bunch of A-list celebrities' houses. And you know, it's a true story. It's based off of I believe a Vanity Fair article called "The Suspects Wore Louboutins." I read the article after watching the movie, and my first thought was, this could have been a half hour short. You know, we didn't need to extend this into an hour and 40-minute feature film or an hour and a half feature film, whatever it was, because there was just so much dead weight. Like the most intriguing parts of this movie were when they were like breaking into the homes. And it was mostly intriguing as well when you like kind of cut back to, you know, the interviews with the actors playing these people, but it's like they're talking to a lawyer. And then there's just so much like very like dead weight where I just don't think this worked as a feature film. It was quite boring. And as much as I love like Marie Antoinette and Lost in Translation, I was not on board with like Sofia Coppola's directing style. There are a lot of interesting like lighting decisions, camera movement decisions that I was just like, this is taking away from, you know, most of whatever's going on my screen. So I was a little disappointed with The Bling Ring. And then Materialists, which we'll talk about in a second, but that's kind of been my last 2 weeks. Every time Victoria listens to our podcast, she's always like, oh, you forgot this and that. And I feel like I'm certainly forgetting things from the last like 2 weeks. I'm trying to think back on what I did, but I don't think so. It's been work to weekend to work to weekend, and that's kind of it. So that's it. So we'll move on. We're going to talk about, we'll start with How to Train Your Dragon. You know, we'll quickly talk animated one, just the first one, and then we'll jump into live action. I believe Cam and I have seen the animated one. Tyler, I was curious if you were going to watch the animated one after the live action one, because I would have been curious to like see your thoughts.
I will be this week at some point, but with basically How to Train Your Dragon was Friday night, and then I had Materialists and Some Like It Hot yesterday. I just didn't have time to get to the animated after the live action.
That's what I figured. So we'll start like very quick thoughts on animated. I feel like if you've been following any of us on Letterboxd for a while, you kind of know our thoughts already. But Cam, we'll start with you on the animated How to Train Your Dragon. We can keep this as short as possible.
I mean, it's very, very hard for me to talk the animated one and then not say the exact same things for the live action, just because it's the exact same movie. It's just different medium. I like the animated one a lot. I have it at an 85 out of 100. I also rewatched it for this. I think the story is fantastic. I think all of the characters work really well. Obviously, Test Drive, the standout scene of both animated live action. It's never gonna fail to hit. It hits every time. The score itself is so amazing that it works. It works in both mediums, obviously, and it works for this scene specifically. Just the like it just goes so fucking hard, man.
So good, man.
I genuinely think this movie for me would be like this original animated movie would be like a 3.5 without this score. But I think the score does such a good job in making you care for these people and these dragons, like that I like the movie a whole lot more because of it. and that's pretty rare for me. I'm definitely not a score guy as much as you or Seth maybe. Like it's not something I go back to all that often. But like this one specifically like hits so hard that it like turns my mind around with these movies, and just something I really enjoy. I love the dynamic between Toothless and Hiccup. I think they work obviously super well together, and I love the little like playfulness of Toothless. I think the one thing that takes me out the most is is it Jay Baruchel.
Yeah.
That fucking voice, man. I can't do his voice. It's not that it's bad. It's just that
It's such a
I
distinct voice.
it's such a distinct
like
voice.
you
and
know who's talking.
yeah, and I think it just oh man, I can't get over his voice this entire movie. Like Gerald Butler. I like him a lot, and I care for him a whole lot more. And I've seen a ton more movies than Jay Baruchel. But like in this role, I don't think of him as just Gerald Butler. I think he's stoic.
Stoic.
And so like I think that works. But it's fucking Jay Baruchel, man. Yeah, I really love the animated movies. It's one they're a really great franchise. I think all of them nail it. The first one's probably my favorite, I would say. But like I think the second and third are really great as well. I'm not going to talk too much story because we can talk that more in live action. But they're the exact same movie. Can't really co-sign the live action. Animation's better. It always is. Animation works better for things like this and just general fantasy adventures. It's a money grab, but great original movie. Great original movie.
Yeah. We'll keep it short, like I said, but I love the animated movie, man. I watched the animated movie for the first time, like pre-Letterboxd days, like I think the year it came out, and I watched with my family at home. And I remember like we were all like stunned at like how good it was. Like I remember the next day we were at a family friend's house, and I like overheard my dad even say like, yeah, it was actually a really good movie. Like we actually really liked this movie. And the movie has just stuck with me ever since. I fucking love this thing, man. You're so on the nose about like John Powell's score. It really is like it's sad that people will dismiss it because it's an animated movie, but it really is one of the best scores of the 21st century. It is so unbelievable, and it goes beyond just the test drive scene. And then even like the first flight between Hiccup and Astrid, like there's just such beautiful music going on in the background while they're like gliding through the air. It's such a beautiful movie. Hits me emotionally, like I just said about Sinners. It's a movie that as I watch it, it'll just continue to hit me emotionally. Every time Test Drive comes on, I have fucking chills at the end of the movie when Toothless opens his wings and you see Hiccup, I cry every time. When Hiccup steps off his bed and then he and Toothless are walking out and you see like Hiccup with one leg and then Toothless with the broken half wing, I cry every time. I cried during the live action one. I cried during the animated one. Hits me every single time. I absolutely love this movie. Another big part of why I love this movie is Toothless. I think they do such a good job at making him such a likable character, which feels like an impossible task when you're dealing with someone that's not speaking English. Like you're relying on his facial expressions and his mannerisms and his relationship with Hiccup. And it all works so unbelievably well. And I just absolutely fucking love it. I would die for Toothless. I love Toothless. I loved him in the live action one as well, which we'll talk about in a sec. But yeah, I love the animated one so much. It's one of my favorite films ever. It's consistently been one of my favorite films ever. Certainly one of my favorite animated films ever. Even to the point where even when I was watching the live action one, I was like, it was a little jarring not hearing Jay Baruchel's or whatever his name is, like voice. I was like,
it's better. I'm sorry, Jay Baruchel. It's better.
It was better. It was like so jarring. Like the first time, what's his name? Oh God. What's the name of the kid that fucking plays Hiccup? Hold on, I have it.
Mason
Mason
Thames.
Thames. Yeah, like he opens his mouth for the first time, and I'm like, oh my God, that is so clearly not Jay Baruchel. Again, not a knock on Mason Thames. I think he does a good job, but I become just so accustomed to Jay's voice as Hiccup. But yeah, I love the animated one. We can get into the live action one because a lot of what I want to say about like both of the films kind of, it's hard not to talk about one without talking about the other, like you said. Tyler, you're back. We'll start with you on the live action as someone who has not seen the animated film. So I am curious to see your perspective. I saw your Letterboxd review, and honestly, 3 stars, a little higher than I thought from you. Honestly, I really did not expect you to come out of this, more neutral to leaning positive on this. But let's get your overall thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon live action or remake.
Yeah, I gave it a 3-star, and the last line of my review is that this score is probably going to go down once I watch the animated one, which I'm fully expecting. But it's tough because obviously I haven't seen the animated, so I can't really compare it. But it's also like, it's not like watching The Departed, but I haven't seen Infernal Affairs, where I have like zero idea of what Infernal Affairs looks like, what it's about, what differences there were. Whereas like How to Train Your Dragon, like I've seen edits, I've seen clips, I know what it looks like, I know the score. So it's not like I'm completely agnostic to everything it's about. So it's hard to like rate this in a vacuum, even without seeing the original, because like my favorite stuff of this, you already kind of touched on with I was listening to talk about the animated one, like the score, I agree, all time, or one of my favorite scores of all time immediately, but like can't give brownie points to this movie for that. They're just rehashing the same score. And then same with like, I think the story is really timely. And I think the thematic elements, I love how it's like the differences in processing grief between, Hiccup and then his father, the different ways they're handling the loss of his mother and how they outwardly treat, the others. And, a lot of, I think it's a very timely movie. And you have themes of, genocide, you have themes of just xenophobia, being like anti just this other group because they wronged you in the past. You want nothing more than just like completely exterminate them. And I just think the character dynamics are great. I really like the father-son relationship that progresses throughout the movie. But again, like, can you give any narrative beats like brownie points? Probably not, because I think it's like everyone says it's just basically a shot-for-shot remake. So it's like any thematic elements of the story, it's like, okay, that's hard to give like brownie points to this movie for. In terms of the way it looks, I think it's a mixed bag. I think I actually did like the cinematography for the most part of this. I think Bill Pope is always, he's one of our great cinematographers, and I think he turns in good work here. And the test drive scene, amazing, loved it. But then like visually though, I feel like the animated film, just from the clips I've seen, just felt like they had so much more color than this. I feel like this felt a little grayed out, and like, I don't know if that's because when they do these live action, and it's like common theme with a lot of live action remakes. I don't know if it's because they're trying to make it more adult, so they don't want just like whimsical colors and deep reds and blues and greens and yellows popping. But even this live action remake, like it's still catered towards kids. So like kids, like give them color. Like kids need color. Like I don't know. I just felt like this movie, for something fantastical about dragons and this mythical land and like this fairy tale story, it's like, we need more colors in this. They're trying to make the color palette too like Game of Thronesy. I'm like, this is not the vibe you should be going for here. So it's like visually, I think the cinematography was solid from Bill Pope, because I think he did well. But I just feel like this movie lacked a little bit of color for me. But I enjoyed my time with this. Like I left the theater, I was like, yeah, I like that movie, and I'm excited to watch the animated film. Once I watch it, it'll probably be jarring to be like, oh, it really is that much of just like a copy, or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see when I watch it. But yeah, we'll see how that affects my rating of this one. But for this, I guess for the cast, How to Train Your Dragon cast 2025, I need to get names. So Mason Thames, I've been singing his praise since The Black Phone. I thought he gave one of the best child performances really ever, and he carries that on certainly here. I think he's got what it takes to be in Hollywood. And then a lot of just like, oh, hey, what have you been up to? Gerard Butler, big one. I'm like, oh, hey, what have you been doing lately? I feel like I haven't seen your face in a while. Nice to see you.
Den of Thieves too.
Yeah,
that is true. Den of Thieves. I already forgot that movie.
He's had a big year.
You may have known, you may not have, or you may have heard. Like he voices Stoic in the
animated. And I think he does well in the live action too. So it's cool to see him carry. And that's a theme that I think works well about this live action, is that they have a lot of the creatives and people that were involved with the animated film translate over to the same director, and Gerard Butler's still there, stoic. So I think that works to its advantage. Nick Frost is another guy. I'm like, where you been? I know you're cast in the Harry Potter show, but I haven't seen you in ages. And then Julian Dennison. I was like, oh, the Deadpool 2 guy. Haven't seen you in forever. Nice to see you're still hanging around in movies. But I thought the cast was all fine. Mason Thames, I really, really did enjoy his hiccup, though. So, I guess that's kind of all I have to say on the movie. I thought I had a good time with it. Score is incredible. I think the story works really well. I think the cast is fun. Visually left a little bit to be desired, and it made me more excited to watch the original animated film now and compare, and we'll see how this holds up. But I had a good time watching this movie. What can I say?
Yeah, I'll be very curious to obviously I hope you love the animated one, but I know you're not the biggest animated guy, so I'm tabling expectations.
I'm sure I'll like it more than this, though. Like, I'll always prefer the original.
Yeah, I can guarantee you'll like it more than this. So I'm just excited whether that's going to be like a 3.5 or a 4, or maybe you throw out a curveball 5-star rating, which would be sick.
I think so.
But Cam, I don't think so. Cam, thoughts on the live action remake?
I'm about to drop like an extremely positive review for a movie. I'm gonna give like a 60 out of 100, a 3 out of 5. I liked it a lot. I can't co-sign these movies anymore. I think I'm getting grumpy in my old age. I just can't co-sign the live action remakes. We just got Lilo and Stitch, which I didn't like. But this one, never watched. Couldn't tell you anything about the original Snow White, to be fair. I don't know a ton about the original story. Like I know it, but not super well. But yeah, I can't keep co-signing these things. I can't. I don't know. It's the exact same thing to a T. Like it's 25 or something minutes longer. But it's not because they add a scene here and there. It's just because I was reading like a Reddit thread on this just to, try to find some info about the movie itself. But basically just like people in live action take longer to do things than in animation. You can animate things in a faster pace, and you just have people basically speaking into a mic, right? So you can speed up their you can cut in between their breaks and stuff and just make it a little quicker, and you can edit how fast they talk, things like that. But like in live action, you like the scenes are the exact same, but they might have a character might like linger on something a little longer and whatever. It's not for adding new content, which I wish I don't know. I got mad at Lilo and Stitch because it did something different. But it did something different in a bad way, in my opinion. Just do something different, I guess. And I say the Lion King remake had a pass because it was like the exact same thing, but it was live action, so I can't be too mad at it. I think in 2017 I shared that opinion, but now it's 8 years later, and I've seen 1.5 million. I've seen 1 million of these movies, and I can't co-sign remakes anymore. So my positives will be Mason Thames, fantastic. Nico Parker, fantastic. Like I think they're both leaps and bounds better than their animated counterparts. I think Nico Parker gets to do a little bit more than I don't know who voices Astrid in the
America Ferrera.
America Ferrera, interesting, big name. So shout out America Ferrera for that. But I think Nico Parker gets a little bit more, gives a bit better of a performance that makes me like Astrid a lot more. And then Mason Thames, we talked about it, George. Like I just can't get over Jay Baruchel's voice. It's just so jarring and so like distinct. I just can't get over it. And I think Mason Thames is a really good actor. So they did like a press tour. They went to the new Epic universe and went to Burke at the Hollywood studios, and Mason Thames was in all black, like long black pants, black shirt, and it was like 90 degrees in Florida. I feel bad for whoever dressed, or I feel bad for him for whoever dressed him, because man, he got done dirty. He's a skinny guy. I'm sure he's not sweating too bad, but like, man, they put him in the hottest outfit he could possibly be in, which is just hilarious to see. But I really like their dynamic. Gerard Butler is a good actor, and so I think like he does a good job in live action with the emotional beats. When are we getting into spoilers? But when like okay, we'll call it spoilers. When they discover like Hiccup is like harboring Toothless, we'll call it, or they capture Toothless. I think Gerard Butler has a really good like emotional scene with his son. And it's the exact same as the animation, but I do think Gerard Butler gives a good performance, and like he does well in it. So I have a lot of positive things to say. I actually think of all the like live action remakes, I think this one looks quite great. Like Toothless looks really great. The end fight, I forget what's the big dragon at the end called.
I don't know. It's the mother, the queen.
Name?
I don't know if they ever name it outside of like the queen.
I would probably know if they had a distinct name, but like the Night Fury, Toothless looks great, and then like the end fight, like it's dark, but it's dark in the animated show. Like it's like gray and drab because that's kind of the setting they're in. And I think this does a really good job at trying to animate from animation to live action and try to take those beats. Like you get Astrid doing flips and shit, like going around, and I think that works well. Because those are the kind of things I feel like you lose going from animation to live action. Like normal humans don't just like go flipping around. And I think it works pretty well in this. So I think for all intents and purposes, they did a good job. And maybe it's not right to say this isn't a good movie because it's not needed. Like I normally always say if it's not many things are needed, but if they're good, I'll take them. And that holds true here. So I give it a positive rating, but it's truly a beat for beat the exact same movie. I can't tell you if they added anything or took anything out, to be honest with you. I think they take something out at the start of making the Night Fury look a little less terrifying. But it's not much. It's like barely anything. I don't know. I fully understand like Sammy and Alex and George you don't have a score. I unfortunately am crippled in my letterboxd ability. I have to give a score to everything. I refuse to not give a score. And so like that throws me when I watch like a lot of people don't give scores to like short films. If it's a friend, I'm just going to throw a 5 out of 5 at it. I have to give something a score, so I have to give this a score, and that's going to be a 60 out of 100. And to anyone who says like, hey, that's a bad way to look at media, it's an app and it's just for funsies. And right now my stats are every movie I've ever watched has a review and every movie I've ever watched has a score. So I'm not going to break it now. And it's just a little thing. It doesn't matter.
I respect that.
Yeah. But if I couldn't give it a score, I wouldn't. If like my brain allowed me to break that.
I had thrown like a 3.5 on it. And then like I was like, why? Like I like this movie. Like obviously I like this movie. It's beat for beat the animated film. Like it seems a little hypocritical to say I love the animated one, but I didn't like the live action one. Obviously there are like stylistic choices that were made that I didn't agree with. I don't think this movie obviously looks as good as the animated film, and that holds back that rating a little bit. But I think narratively hits the same beats, emotionally hits the same beats. I actually think I prefer Gerard Butler in live action than I did in the animated film. I think he just has more to do like physically. And I think he's just an awesome presence. Like even last night, I was like, damn, I'm craving some Gerard Butler. So I threw on Greenland and I watched it for like 20 minutes before I went to bed. But the movie had me craving some Gerard Butler. But I don't know. I'm not like, I don't write off live action remakes. I don't write off it's like if I'm interested in them, I'll watch them. If I'm not interested in them, I won't watch them. I will never watch Lilo and Stitch. It's not because I'm anti live action. It's because I just don't give a fuck. I'll never watch Snow White. Again, it's not because I'm anti live action. It's because I don't care.
Rachel Zegler doesn't deserve that from you.
I'm sorry. It's not Rachel Zegler. It's just I don't care. How to Train Your Dragon is at least one of my favorite animated films ever. If you're going to give me more content and if you're going to give me dragons in live action, fuck yeah, I'll take it any day of the week. I think people slapping half-star reviews on this, calling this anti-art, I think that's so disingenuous to the creative team and the fact that they brought back the director, the composer, it's not, I don't know. It's easy to look at this and say, oh, it's a cash grab. Oh, it's unnecessary. I just think that's
the easiest paycheck of all time for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
I support them getting a bag. I don't support the studio getting a bag.
Yeah.
Do you guys see Sydney's Letterboxd review?
No, was it?
They should just make a live action.
They should adapt this one into animation and then that one into live action. So it's like an infinite money hack. But no, the thing about live action remakes is I appreciate this for having the original creative team back. But like at the end of the day, this came out in 2010, the original. Like Moana came out, or like maybe even after that. And it's like we're getting live action remakes and stuff that have been out for like a decade. Whereas like Lilo and Stitch been out over 20 years. Snow White like almost like 100 years. It's like again, I think no matter what, a live action remake is always just a cash grab. But it's like at least you can like logically be like, yeah, the Snow White story hasn't been reinvented or told in forever. Lilo and Stitch, a new generation of fans could become fans of this one. Whereas like I feel like the Moana and How to Train Your Dragon are really, really pushing the limits of just like how blatantly cash grabby can you be being like, remember this movie from 10 years ago? Yeah, it's just like make it again. And like everyone talks about Harry Potter, like why do we need this? We just had the movie franchise, which is true, but like even that was longer ago than this. It's like it's just weird. It's so soon.
I don't know. It's slop, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you otherwise. I'm not going to defend this movie with my life. But if I'm going to sit back and watch every new MCU project and every new Star Wars project outside of Andor that has proven to just be
you're an asshole
studio cash grab slop, like I'm going to sit down and watch How to Train Your Dragon. At least it's an animated film.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. I can't keep co-signing them. I enjoy it, but I can't. I can't keep co-signing. I can't co-sign a 4 out of 5 Letterboxd average. I can't co-sign that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Which it's every so often I always think like, oh, our little movie community is the only ones that are on Letterboxd, and then I'll see like a 4 average on How to Train Your Dragon. And I realize, oh, there are so many like just general public members that don't think the way we do that are on Letterboxd, and the 4 average on the live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon is like the most like evident of that, just how small of a bubble we live in with our like film talk community. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like there's such a wide chunk of movie lovers across the globe that we don't even know. But yeah, I don't know. I like the movie. What do you want me to say? Like it made me tear up. It got the same emotion out of me during Test Drive and during the final.
I don't think you should feel bad about that.
I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about it. I just it's more so like a bothersome thing when I see like these disingenuous half-star ratings calling this anti-art, because if the animated movie didn't exist, people would be throwing positive ratings on this. Which obviously is understandable. Sure. Like it's a well-crafted film. Like I don't think anyone's necessarily denying that. Like I think the movie genuinely does look good in moments. I think the score is still phenomenal. Obviously, it's just kind of a rehash of John Powell's score, but at least they got him back to kind of like re-energize it and bring like a little new flair to it for the live action. I watched the video of Test Flight, and you kind of like compared the animated to the live action, and it's not the same score. It is a little bit like different. Obviously, it has that same like central flow of like dun 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 dun, but like there are beats here and there that are different, which I can at least appreciate. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I like the movie. What do you want me to say? I think if I were to go through,
you just say you like the movie. If you like
I am saying I'm like the movie. I don't know why I feel bad about it. Like our film talk community like is so good at making you feel bad for liking certain things.
No, I agree.
But no, I like the movie. I'm not going to give it a rating. I just don't know how I rate it. Like I could throw a 3-star, 3.5-star rating on it, sure, but like why? Like I fucking 5-star on the original, and I love it so much. And are a couple of like stylistic decisions here and there really going to drop my rating a whole 1.5 or a whole 2 points? I don't know. But I had a good time with it. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it looks fine. It looks better than Mufasa, which I think is the last, that's technically not a remake, but, still in the same universe of a formally animated film.
Yeah. I wish they didn't do the remakes and just did things like Mufasa, where they try to like make a new story that's like in live action. Like, just do that. It's still not original 100%, but at least it's like.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know what they should have done? They should have given us a live action stoic origin story of like the first year where he's chief, fighting the dragons. And his first encounter with the Night Fury, and then you see like the evolution from there to the end of How to Train Your Dragon, where he's like saving the Night Fury. That would have been cool, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know. So sometimes, and this is just a me problem, sometimes I just get very annoyed with like the discourse on our film talk community, which
totally fair.
As you guys have seen, I've been trying to like remove myself from more and more. My whole Twitter,
an angry fella, and that's all right,
bro. My whole Twitter feed's like 95% tennis now, which is awesome. But yeah, I'm trying to remove myself from like the Twitter community of our film talk group, just because it's coming. There's too much negative discourse. It's too insufferable at times, respectfully to everyone that's in that community. And I think How to Train Your Dragon is just like a prime example of that. But yeah, I like the movie. How deep into spoilers do we want to go? Like, are we just?
I think we should at least talk the story as if like we're
like reviewing it for the first time. I don't think
we should assume people know like the story.
Yeah.
This could be like someone's first watch.
That's also what I'm thinking. Obviously it's a cash grab, but I don't know. I find it hard to believe that the studio at least didn't have in mind like, oh, we want to like rehash this for a new generation. Like, there's going to be such a large crowd of people that watch this film that have never seen the original, and this is who that movie is for. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying too hard to defend this movie because of how much I love the original and how much I just love this story and these characters. But I don't know. Like I said, there are so many just disingenuous half stars being thrown around, and I think that's just
If it makes you feel any better, I don't see any. But
that's fair.
I believe you. I don't see any. Let's see.
Fair. I see too many. Maybe I follow too many people. I think
you do. I follow about 30 people, and it helps my mental health.
Because there are Letterboxd, there are 325 half-star ratings, and there are 35,000 5-star ratings.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to tell you how many of my mutuals have rated it poorly. Because I follow 100 and too many, man. Too many people.
I only have one mutual, and that's Kit Laser. There's only a negative review.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
Son of a bitch, Kit Laser. All right, but general. I think we should go through general story of it at least. Do you want to run through it, or do you want me to?
Yeah, no, we can run through it. I mean, I could just do it from memory. Obviously, I've seen this animated film so many times. But yeah, you're introduced to Burke, and you're very quickly introduced to Stoic and Hiccup, and you learn that. I always love that opening line of. The one bad thing about living in Burke is the pests. Some people have, some towns have rats and mice or whatever, or bugs. We have dragons. And then the whole like, you see all the dragons come through, and it's like it's a really cool introduction scene to like this world, which is something I feel like I don't necessarily praise too much in this like franchise, but revisiting the animated one and then watching the live action one, like it's such awesome world building, and then especially when you move into like How to Train Your Dragon 2 and it expands you to greater heights. It's really awesome. But you're introduced to like all of our characters. You're introduced to like the love interest Astrid, and you're obviously introduced to the Night Fury, which at the time no one has seen, no one knows anything about. It comes in the dark. What do they say? It never misses. It's the only one that doesn't like feed on the sheep. It just comes in, shoots some shit down, and then flies away. And you're introduced to a Hiccup who is just very keen on killing a dragon. He makes this contraption. He's obviously like the runt of the litter, I guess, when you're talking about like all of the Vikings. He's skinny, which funny enough, I don't think Mason Thames is small enough to play Hiccup. Like he was.
I disagree. He's a relatively
Really?
small guy. Yeah,
He had like he was like standing like next to Gerard Butler, and I was like, Gerard Butler's really not like towering.
I think it's
over
because they
him.
can't animate Gerard. I mean, Gerard Butler looks big in this, but like
Big.
that's another thing about like animation is you can make these like not funny looking people necessarily, but like you make this like massive guy. Like look at Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse. Sorry, Kingpin.
Yeah,
you can't do that in live action, right?
No.
But you can do it in animation, and it works. And it's similar to Stoic in the animation, and that's again, animation is better than live action.
I guess.
I'll preach it till the day I die.
No, I mean, I completely. In the case of How to Train Your Dragon, I completely agree, obviously. But yeah, I was like Mason Thames, like he's kind of beefy, like he's not like this, like overly like skinny Timothy Chalamet kind of like call me by your name.
Yeah, that dude's like. 120 pounds soaking wet.
Oh, he's tall too, man. He's a big person. Like I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just so used to like the animated version where he's like excessively skinny and tiny compared to everyone around him. But yeah, that was like my.
You're saying he's 5'7". They're putting him at 5'7".
5'7", Mason.
It's probably because Hollywood people aren't tall. Let's see how tall Gerard Butler is.
He's got to be on the larger side too.
6'2". I mean, like, yeah, that's fine. That's a fine height.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's
fair. Crazy.
Yeah, fair. Maybe I'm going crazy. But yeah, you're introduced to Hiccup, who is like the runt of the Vikings. You know, he can't do anything right. He's always causing damage. All he wants to do is kill a dragon and like prove himself to his father. Unfortunately, in the act of killing a Night Fury, he like brings a dragon to the city, and they like the dragon just completely kills destroys a lot. And you know, you get that like scene where Stoic is like, stop, everything you touch destroys, whatever he says. And that's like gives you it's a really fun opening scene. It gives you a cool introduction to the world, cool introduction to our characters. It kind of shows you where everyone's at. Stoic's chief, his son is, you know, this not Viking kind of person. You know, you got Astrid, you got Hiccup, you got what's the blacksmith's name? Gober, the one that Hiccup is the apprentice of. Yeah, Gubber, I think. So like the world, whatever. So the world opens, and then that's kind of when the journey unfolds. You see Hiccup hit the Night Fury, and no one believes him. So you know, the very next day he goes, and that's when you're introduced to Hiccup, to Toothless in like the setting. And they did this moment in live action really well. There are certain moments going from animated to live action that I was nervous about, just because of not like most of them are just because of how emotional they are in the animated film, but some of them are just because of how like instrumental of a moment they were in the animated film. And the first one of those moments was when Hiccup goes to kill Toothless, and you see Toothless like looking at him and then like closing his eyes. And it works really well in animated, because you can obviously animate a lot of expression onto an animated dragon. And I was curious,
but you can do it in live action, because again, they're just animating the live action dragon. So
I know, but you know, it's such a different.
I know
like,
what you're
vibe,
saying, but
like
you're going from animation to animation, basically. So what's the point?
I was nervous they were gonna try make it like too real, like try to make the dragon like I was
like a Game of Thrones dragon.
Exactly. Like one thing I was nervous about is like the first scene where, or not the first scene, but that scene where Hiccup or Toothless like first smiles at Hiccup. I was nervous we weren't gonna see that in live action, because I was nervous that that's too cartoony to put into live action. But there were moments like that where I was like, okay, thank God they like went with it. Like it's not
they very
corny.
easily could have over reality this. But I think what works super well with with Toothless's design is his mouth goes like all the way back to his ears, basically. So you can get like that grin put on him, rather than like, I feel like in a hyper realistic world, like they'd, you know, the mouth would be a little shorter. Maybe I don't, you know, obviously dragons aren't real. I don't know how they would look, but it's one of those things. Like I feel like they could have very easily hyper realized this and made it way too realistic. But I think they do a good job at keeping it fun and lighthearted and keeping the color on him. Like the green in his eyes is still there. And so that's why, it's frustrating to say like I can't like fully co-sign this because like I had a good time. I enjoyed it, but I can't give it a 4.5 out of 5 like I did the original.
I mean, as much as it is like a beat for beat remake, you talked about Lilo and Stitch like 2 weeks ago, and you like really didn't like some of like the narrative changes they made. And at the very least, I'm happy that they like told us it was going to be a beat for beat remake of How to Train Your Dragon, and it really was. Like they stuck to a lot of like the things that might have been a little more cartoony and goofy in live action, and that's like I think something that I just respect a lot. It's like, okay, we told them we're going to give them beat for beat remake. We're bringing back the original crew. Let's just do it as we want to do it, and they like it. They like it. They don't. They don't. But it's like little moments like that first scene with Hiccup and Toothless. Hiccup going to kill Toothless, and I'm like, okay, like what are they going to do here? Are they going to try and make it like really like thunderous and Game of Thronesy, or are they going to stick to like the kind of cartoony emotions of the animated film where like Toothless looks at Hiccup and then looks back and closes his eyes preparing for death? And they did, and it was awesome. I really appreciate that for that. But yeah, we that's kind of like the first like introduction to the world and to the relationship of Hiccup and Toothless. And Hiccup, Toothless was injured from Hiccup, so he's like lost like half of his tail. He can't fly. He's stuck in that like area in the pit, I guess they call it.
I love this idea that like he's injured Toothless, and like they kind of need each other, especially like during the flight. And obviously it's like the whole point of the fucking movie, but like especially during the test flight scene or test drive scene, where like he falls off the back of Toothless and Toothless starts plummeting as well. It's like it really what's the word in nature where two things need each other? The codependence of the two. There's a word for it. But like the codependence of the two, like just works so well. Again, credit to the animated movie for that, but it works so well and it's done so well, and it like actually makes sense of like, oh, it lost like half one side of its wing, so you have to like he adds in the like what is it, paper wood basically wing. It's just it's a fun little bond that they grow, because like otherwise Toothless would die because he can't fly and things like that. So that always is my favorite.
And Hiccup wouldn't have found himself without Toothless. Wouldn't have found his. I always love this sequence or the scene where Astrid's or Toothless like vents to Astrid, and she's like, "I'm the first Viking in 100 years that wouldn't kill a dragon," and Astrid's like, "But you're the first one to ride it." And I'm like, damn, like that's such a good scene. Like that right there is like, it's such a beautiful embodiment of like their relationship, like Toothless and Hiccup's relationship. And I love it. That's one of the big things I'll always give the animated movie credit for, is like, you're trying to build a relationship between a human being and something that doesn't fucking speak English. And it's awesome. And they do such a good job of it. And they do the same good job in the live action. In the theater that I went to, the screening that I went to, I don't know if like these people had never seen the animated film, but there were people in my screening crying, like hysterically crying. Like I was tearing up, I wasn't crying, but there were people like hysterically
maybe
crying.
They're really into it, or like you said, they haven't seen
it.
I'm sure there are people that haven't.
I think there's a good exactly. I think there's a good chunk of people that have not seen the animated film that are going to go watch this live action film. And to them, I'm jealous of your experience. I think experiencing that movie in IMAX in live action for the first time was probably so sick. But yeah, I like it. I like the movie, man. Yeah. I'm tired of feeling bad about it. But post Hiccup and Toothless's first meeting, you see Hiccup is trying to bounce back and forth from dragon slaying training. I forget what they call it. to taking care of and training his dragon Toothless and creating a wing and learning how to fly. And you see that relationship with him and Toothless is helping him in the dragon pit with the trainings, because he's using everything he's learning from Toothless and he's bringing it into the pit, and he's like outshining everyone, outclassing everyone, including Astrid, who's obviously thinks very highly of herself. She's the one that thinks that she's going to be chief after Stoic, so she doesn't like that Hiccup is coming in and kind of outshining her and everyone else. One thing I will say about the live action film, I did not like that supporting cast of friends outside of Astrid.
Yeah, they were all kind of useless, but
yeah,
I wasn't like super attached to them in the animated movie. But like Julian Dennison and like I forget the rest of the cast. Didn't care for them. I agree with that.
Yeah, they were just, I don't know, they were like funny in the animated film, and they were just
in this,
wildly annoying in this film. Like the two twins, Rough Nut and Tough Nut, like they were just so annoying. I thought, what was his name? Snot something. Because I remember that he like made fun of Hiccup's name. And
Snot
Loud.
Like,
your name. Snot Loud. He was funny. He had some moments, but like, I don't know. I like Jonah Hill was always so great in that animated role. I think he's just a funny presence. The twins were so much funnier in the animated film than they were in the live action film. They just came off very annoying in the live action film. So that's maybe where like it's holding back my experience a little bit, but that's obviously such like it's a consequential moment of this film. But yeah, Hiccup continues to learn more about dragons through Toothless, while also training to fight dragons with Gobber and Astrid and that gang of men and women. Meanwhile, Stoic is out. He kind of takes like a brigade of ships to go seek out the dragon's nest. That is kind of like Stoic's big goal, is to like end the dragon's reign. Go.
Sorry, going back to Tough Nut and Rough Nut are voiced by T.J. Miller and Kristen Wiig in the animated. So like just like two inherently like funny people. Like that makes sense that you're not going to get that kind of get that kind of like comedy from the live action version of just two kids.
Yeah.
Sorry, go back to what you were saying. My bad.
No, I appreciate that. But so like then the next like big moment is got to be like test flight, because you kind of get like the both movies do like the kind of like montage of like dragon training, Hiccup, taking care of everything in dragon training, being the best there is, and then going back and forth with Toothless, training Toothless. There was one scene that was there were certain conversations with Astrid and Toothless, Astrid and Hiccup, that weren't in the live action movie, that were in the animated movie, or that were in the animated live action movie that were not in the animated movie. But then there were certain other scenes that were removed from live action, and one of those scenes is after test flight. And we'll talk about test flight in a second, but after test flight in the animated movie, Hiccup and Toothless are eating, and then those small dragons come up, and Toothless shoots a little fireball into the mouth of one of the small dragons, and the dragon like kind of like collapses and is hurt. And Toothless, Hiccup makes a comment like, "Oh, not so fireproof on the inside," and that's a big move into that final scene where they're flying down and the big dragon's behind them, and then Hiccup's like, "Now," and Toothless turns and shoots the fireball into the dragon, and that dragon like ignites and crashes. That's I'd be curious to hear like why that was removed from the movie, because I think that one little instance after test flight is such a big moment in like the intelligence of Toothless and Hiccup as like partners and like riding buddies, to be able to defeat the queen at the end of the movie. So I'd be curious to know why that little bit was like removed. But going back to test flight, live action, man, that was awesome. Tyler, you didn't notice because you didn't watch the animated film, but the first instance where they detach from each other and they start falling in live action, the music cuts out. In animated, the music is like building while they're falling. Like you can hear music and it's just like building and building and building and building. But in live action, it completely cuts out. And I kind of, maybe it was because I was watching it in IMAX. I really like that decision because I was sitting there and I was like, damn, like this really makes me feel like I'm fucking falling right now. Like all you hear is the sound of like the wind blowing and Hiccup saying like, oh, come here, move this way, move that way. So it was a very interesting stylistic decision, a change from the animated film that I actually really liked.
I prefer the build.
I like the build too. I like the build too. It was just a nice like switch. It was like unexpected. Like it happened and I was like, oh, okay, we're doing something a little different here. And like obviously the scene unfolds exactly the same as the animated film, but that was like the only like big difference. And it was cool, I thought. But test flight is so cool, man. That shit gives me such joy, such goosebumps. You know, Hiccup's got the cheat sheet in his hand. It's blowing. He can't read a thing it says, throws it away, and just locks in. And you just see them flying through these fucking canyons and whatever. And it was sick. It was so cool. I really, it's one of my favorite scenes ever in animated film. It's one of my favorite scenes ever in live action or in just film in general. And I think the live action version did it justice. That was absolutely the one scene going into the live action where I was like, if they fuck this up, like that's bad. Like that's the one scene that you absolutely cannot fuck up. Like you're either going to stick to the original and just do it beat for beat, or you're not going to touch it. And I think they gave us a very worthy iteration of that scene in live action.
Yeah, I mean, that scene was electric. Best scene of the movie. I mean, there's some emotional beats and dialogue that I really liked, but I mean, in terms of like just like a grand epic scene, I thought they executed it great. I haven't seen the original test flight scene, but just in a vacuum, that scene alone, I thought was electric.
Yeah, it was so. It's
actually,
like one of,
I just watched the original, or like the animated scene while you were while we were talking earlier, just because I wanted to, and it's goosebumps every time, chills every time. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's like it's a what's up danger level scene for me in terms of how often I'm going to YouTube and just clicking play on it. And then even when I watch like the full animated movie through, I'll rewind test flight like 4 times and just always chills, man. Always chills. It's unbelievable. Stoic returns from trying to slay the dragon, or trying to find the dragon's nest. He didn't find it. And he learns that his son is the guy. You know, he's the man on campus right now. You know, he's big dicking everyone. And he Hiccup goes on to win the what do they call it? Something of flames. Whatever it is, he goes on to win, and he's basically selected to kill a dragon. And what follows is I love the next scene right after he learns that he wins and that he has to kill a dragon. He goes to Toothless, just ready to leave. And Astrid is there. And I always love that scene with Astrid. I always love, even in animated, and I love it. Again, there were certain scenes coming into live action that I was like very curious about, like how are they going to do it? Are they going to do it justice? And I think this is one of them that they just absolutely did justice, where it's such an awesome representation of the relationship between Astrid and Hiccup, where Hiccup obviously feels one way towards Astrid. Astrid sees Hiccup as a threat because she's like so prepared to be the chief post-Stoic. And then you run through like an entire character arc in this one sequence of Hiccup basically being like, just let me show you. Like, if you don't want to hear me talk, I won't talk. Just let me show you. They get on. You see like the childish side of Toothless, which I also like really love. He's spinning in the air. He's dunking them in the water. And it's so funny that like, I mean, it's a movie, so I'm not going to think too into it, but I love the fact that like Hiccup's like, just say sorry. And Astrid like touches Toothless while like starts petting him while they're flying, and she's like, "I'm sorry, Toothless," and then he slows down. I'm like, why did he understand that? He should not have understood that. But it's like a really cute moment. And then this is where I was like really blown away in live action. Like genuinely, like I think the whole movie looks good. I think there are instances where like the flying doesn't look great, or like Tyler said, it's just very grayed out here and there. But they're flying when they're just like cruising.
Yeah, this scene's great. I think this scene looks the best in the film when like she's putting her hand through the clouds and everything, and I like it all really works. And that's why I say like I think they did a really great job animating this. And putting this together. But it's obviously, again, it's similar beats from the animated movie. I feel like you can change the hand going through the clouds to something else. Like I think you can make small creative decisions to make it look different, but it's just it's the exact as the original. So if you're gonna give me the live action or the original, I'm gonna take the original every time. But yeah, I do really like this scene. I think it looks the best in the film for sure.
Yeah, and even on top of like the way it looks, like you just got John Powell's score. Like, it's like the test flight music. It's like that dun 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 dun, but it's like it's very slowed down. It's very mellow, and like it's going on while you have like this dragon and like this beautiful like pink and orange and blue sky, and it's like really well done scene. Like genuinely, like scenes like that make me think that like this isn't entirely a cash grab. Like if they're putting that much effort and that much care into that one little sequence of two people flying, like it's hard for me to look at this and be like, oh, well, this is 100% a cash grab. Don't get me wrong.
I struggled to say it's like an entire cash grab. Like it is for the studio, but like for the people working on the movie, I think it's worth giving them credit, and they have care entirely. It's just, I don't know what to say. I enjoyed the movie. I just can't 100% co-sign these. That's all.
I understand. I'm just saying, like, there's care
like
that
the people who worked on it care, and they want to be here. But
even those Gerard Butler, man,
I appreciate what they made.
Yeah, like Gerard Butler, that man. Say what you want about his filmography, it's not the best. It's got some awesome highs, obviously. But that man commits. That man commits to every single role, and it's awesome. And I really appreciate it. But yeah, they go on that flight, and then after what unfolds is, basically the entire third act. So Toothless, I keep confusing them. Hiccup has to like kill a dragon in front of the entire village. I love so much. This is such a stupid thing to love, but I love when Hiccup picks up like this really small knife, and then the camera cuts to Stoic, and he's like, I would have gone for the hammer. And I'm like, that's funny. Gerard Butler's a funny guy. But of course, Hiccup cannot kill the dragon. He's showing the town that, it's not evil. You can coexist. They're just scared. They're defending themselves. But of course, that doesn't sit well with Stoic, and he does like the thing where he hits this hammer on the railing, and that kind of like unlocks the dragon. He goes crazy. And then Toothless comes in because he can hear he hears the dragon roar. So electric. This is awesome. I love this one scene because Toothless can't fly without Hiccup, and like you said earlier, Cam, that's just an awesome, like, this is an awesome bit of like they coexist with each other. When Toothless hears the roar of the dragon, and I guess also hears Hiccup, that man sprints as fast as he can through the woods, and I love that scene. I love that, again, you're giving so much personality and so much emotional like depth to a character that can't even speak English, and you have to show it through various physical attributes. And one of them is just how fast he made his way to Hiccup, and it's awesome. It just shows how much he's feeling, how much emotion he has towards Hiccup, how much they love each other, how much he's willing to protect and die for him. And I absolutely just love that scene. He knows he can't fly. Yeah, you go.
No, just to agree with you, I think it's worth noting, like, obviously, like, Hiccup really cares for Toothless, but it's important to get that, like, vice versa, right? Where, like, you see how much Toothless cares for Hiccup in this one. I think that works really well, especially, like you said, when it's not two people, it's a person and an animated dragon, right? But, like, Toothless can't fly, and so he sprints through, and he makes it super fast, like just to do anything. Like it works really well.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, I love it. But then, of course, we get into like the final scene. Stoic takes Hiccup, and they go to the dragon's nest. And then just all hell unleashes, and I love that scene. I love that scene where
What do they go into the dragon's nest for again? Watch both these movies.
They just want to kill all the dragons.
Yeah, but like, why? I forget why they bring Toothless to the dragon.
Because he's the one that's guiding them to like the nest. They always knew the area.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they just never knew where like the dragon.
I just watched both these movies too.
But yeah, I always love that final act. There's so many awesome like bits in that final like entire sequence, from Stoic saving Toothless from the drowning to like that emotional moment he has with Hiccup before Hiccup rides off, and he's like, I'm proud of you. All the way to like that fight in the sky where you're watching it from the beach and you just see the clouds igniting with Toothless's like bullets. I don't think bullets is the right word, but you know what I mean.
Fireballs.
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 All the way to like the very end of that sequence where they crash. Hiccup falls off Toothless. Toothless just without thought just goes down to save him. And then you have this very emotional scene with like Stoic right before Toothless reveals that Hiccup is alive. And I really like that final scene. I think they did that final scene justice in this movie. I think they did that final scene, I think, equally as justice-y as any other scene in the movie, because Tyler, whenever you watch the animated, you'll see this. That whole third act in the animated film, it's not like the most like colory movie. Like that whole scene,
like a very dingy gray area.
It's very dingy gray. It's very monotone, and obviously it's very easy to do that in live action. So I think that scene, just because of that color coordination, is just really like truly a 1-for-1 beat of the animated film, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then, like I mentioned earlier, I love that final scene, man, where Hiccup wakes up in his bed, finds out he's lost the leg, and you see like Toothless react to him reacting to the leg, and it's very emotional. I always love the shot where they're walking out of the house, and you see Hiccup on one leg and a prosthetic, and then you see Hiccup with his Toothless with his tail like half cut off. Obviously, I think that's like beautiful. That goes back to like the whole like, now they're truly code dependent. Hiccup has his right leg, not his left leg. Toothless has his left fin, not his right fin. So like, it's like truly they each have one of each. And I absolutely love that. Always makes me tear up, man. I really like that dynamic. And it just goes back to how well they like build up that relationship with the two of them, and just how much they make me fucking care for a dragon, man. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. I love it. But yeah, that's kind of those are my overall thoughts. I like the movie. Fuck everyone else.
Yeah, I like the movie. I'm with you. Fuck myself for being a hater, but just in general, good movie. Good franchise.
Good movie. Like I said, Tyler,
I'm excited to talk 2 and 3. I think like 2 is already on the books for like 2027 or something.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we'll be back, maybe.
I always wonder if they're gonna like take it off like the animated like timeline. Like, are we done with the animated films, or are we just gonna,
I think they'll just remake them.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But I don't know. I love 2. I love 2 so much. I think 2 is like just nearly as good as 1. I think it introduces some awesome characters. You got Cate Blanchett. Awesome. Fuck yeah. You got like an older, more experienced Toothless and Hiccup, and it's really fucking awesome. So Tyler, like I said, I'll be very excited. Hopefully you watch it this week so we could talk next week about your experience with the animated film. But I love that movie, man. I absolutely love it.
2 and 3. I think I've only watched 2 and 3 once.
I rewatched them. I always say like, it's so annoying. I say like I rewatched these movies recently, and then I don't realize just like how long it's actually been. I watched 2 because I watched all of them.
I never hear anyone talk about 3. Is that one just like a big drop off, or
no? They're both really great.
They're both very good.
Not as good as the first, but they're both very good. I just haven't watched them in a while. I've rewatched How to Train Your Dragon. I rewatched it randomly, probably to prepare for the live action like 2-3 months ago, and then I watched it again this week.
No, they're all stunning.
But
Yeah, I haven't seen 2 since the end of 2023, so I'm due for a rewatch, man. Same with 3. But all right, that'll wrap up How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. We'll move on to bigger and maybe better stuff, depending on who you're talking to. But we got the Materialists. We have Materialists, not the Materialists. I keep making that same error.
I did too, don't worry.
It's like, it's crazy. Like, the Materialist just rolls off the tongue so much better. But you got Celine Song sophomore outing, starring Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, Pedro Pascal, and then a couple like smaller side characters in Zoe Winters, Marin Ireland, Dasha Nekrasova,
John Magaro.
some people. John Magaro, yeah,
I recognize that voice immediately on that phone call. That's all he is. He's just a phone call. But I was like, hell yeah.
He's just Mark P. He's just a piece of shit. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Some people just want more. A young, ambitious New York City matchmaker finds herself torn between the perfect match and her imperfect ex. Like I said, this is Celine Song's sophomore outing, coming off of Past Lives from 2 years ago, which a lot of us think very highly of. I said this in my Letterboxd review. I think it's one of the best of the decade, and I don't hesitate to say that, especially after rewatching Past Lives a week or two ago with Victoria. I think it just solidified that thought that this truly is one of the best films we've gotten over the last 5.5 years. But Tyler, we'll start with you on spoiler-free thoughts of the Materialists.
Yeah. I liked it, didn't love it. So people online, like I've seen people praise this, calling it like incredibly smart and intelligent, like this like masterpiece of a film, and I definitely don't think it's that. And then on the flip side, people who don't like this movie act like Celine Song murdered their firstborn child in front of them, and then some reason like she gets, even with Past Lives, the same. People who don't like her just are really vicious about it. So I'm not on either end of the spectrum. I think this movie's pretty straightforward, and its commentary on, dating in the modern world is very algorithmic, with dating apps and with, looking for a perfect match, and everyone, what do you set your, like, just think about dating apps. Like that's where Riley and I met, was on Tinder. Is like, you set like, oh, what's your height? What's like your profession? What's like a quick bio about you and like 5 pictures. That's like all you get to know someone by until you actually like meet up in person. So it's just like a commentary on the difference between that and like genuine, true, deep connection. And you see that explored to Dakota Johnson's character, who is this matchmaker who's very, they said it in the comparison of movies, very Moneyball-esque. Like, how much money you make, what's your height? Okay, that makes you like this unicorn of a person, like you're a perfect match, or you're like, you kind of get like a tier ranking system. She tries to rank them up based on people's stats, for lack of a better word, of how she thinks she'll make matches that way. And herself, she self-proclaims to be very materialistic, refuses to kind of give that herself to a deep connection emotionally, because you just feel like she's not worthy for it. You mentioned, at one point, I guess we'll save stuff for when we kind of get in the spoilers section, but pretty much it's just to me a commentary on the difference between a facade of an online profile and just like the first date type atmosphere where everything seems so perfect. And on a first date, everyone, no matter who you're on a first date with, you're like, oh, like they seem like the perfect person in the world and could do no wrong. And then once you start learning more about them, you learn their vulnerabilities, their shortcomings, and you kind of learn if that's something you want to dive into and love and get in a relationship with, or if it's something that is just not going to be compatible. And again, you explore that through Dakota Johnson's character. I'm kind of mixed on her as an actress still. I don't know. Like, I feel like she definitely has a type of acting. And I think it's like similar to Mark Ruffalo, where I don't think it's necessarily bad. I just think it's like, it rubs me the wrong way for some reason. So I thought she's like fine in this. Chris Evans, I thought was the best. It was so refreshing to see him deliver a performance that I was like, hell yeah, Chris, like, let's get back to this. And then Pedro Pascal, he has his moments, but I came away from it thinking he was kind of, because I mean, when you look at the poster, I'm trying to think of the poster in my mind. I guess, I don't know, the way it was marketed, I thought it'd be way more like focus on Pedro Pascal's character compared to Chris Evans. They're both in it about equally as much, but he's not as great as I was expecting him to be. But I thought it was fine. I thought it was good. Cool commentary. It goes places I never would have expected. Take some wild turns for sure. I think Past Lives was a much better written movie. I still like the direction of this movie. I still think Celine Song has a good eye for shots. So I still like this film from a directing standpoint. But again, writing, I just don't think it's like this genius masterpiece commentary that anyone's making it out to be. And I also don't think it's like, a scar on cinema forever for how horrible it is. I just think it's like a fine 3-star movie that I'll forget about next week and probably not think about ever again.
Yeah, I mean that's more or less where I kind of fall. I think we're both a little more neutral on it as opposed to like leaning any sort of direction positively or negatively. But yeah, I mean, I had such high expectations for this. Obviously, coming off of Past Lives, like I said, I think it's one of the best of the decade, and it's like it was in like my top 2 or 3 of 2023. I absolutely love Past Lives, and I mentioned this in my Letterboxd review, and then I was even talking about it with Victoria, and the first thing we kind of said to each other was like, it's a good movie. Like, I don't think it's poorly constructed. I think everything kind of works. I think Celine Song is really awesome at like crafting like really powerful images. And I don't think the script is like as weak as some people are making it out to be. The problem is Victoria and I never experienced this type of like dating culture. We started dating 10 years ago, freshman year of college. I had never used dating apps. I had never even been on dates. I was a fucking loser. And then thankfully Victoria stepped in and still am. But thankfully Victoria like stepped in and showed me love and care that, obviously has carried over a decade. So like we never like experienced that dating life in New York City. We never experienced, going on dates. We never experienced dating apps, matchmakers, yada, yada, yada. So I think I'm so far removed from that culture that I found it so hard to empathize with anything going on or to sympathize with any of our characters. And I don't know. I think saying this movie falls flat is a little disingenuous because I do think it just comes down to like my experience with this particular subject matter. And I even mentioned in my Letterboxd review, there are movies in romance, Past Lives being a perfect example, where I have nothing in common with Past Lives. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And I still absolutely love it. So it's such a weird dynamic approaching romance films as someone that's been in a relationship for as long as Victoria and I have, because there are romance films like Past Lives that I can't relate to at all, but I absolutely love. I think Celine Song in that movie does such a beautiful job in her writing at making me care about this 2-decade journey, making me care about all 3 of these characters in Past Lives, from the wife, the husband, and the old soulmate from Korea long ago. I care about all 3 of these, where in the Materialists I never, and maybe this is just me, maybe this is the way the movie was marketed, but I really expected more, I think, of a comedy of like pinning Pedro Pascal and Chris Evans against each other. But I never felt that rivalry. Like, I feel like that rivalry only existed in the eyes of Dakota Johnson's character. And I don't know if that hindered my experience with this movie, but I really expected more Chris Evans, Pedro Pascal, like kind of separating Dakota Johnson and giving her like that internal conflict. I never felt that internal conflict. Like, she made that decision to, and now we're kind of getting to spoilers, I guess. So actually maybe I'll save that for later. But she makes certain decisions just very quickly where I don't really think it required a whole lot of deep thought. And I don't know if I like the way this movie moves necessarily, but like I said, I just couldn't put myself in these shoes. I don't think the writing is particularly strong enough around our 3 characters for me to like genuinely have an attachment. I don't think there's, one, there's a line I always go back to from Past Lives, and I think it's one of the best lines in romance film ever. And the line comes around a conversation where after Nora meets Hui Sung for the first time, or not for the first time, they like spent the day in New York, and Arthur is like not grilling, he's just talking to Nora about like that part of her life. And they have this whole conversation, and they're married at this point in the movie. So, Arthur obviously thinks he knows everything about his wife, and it's so evident that he doesn't. And he drops this line along the lines of like, he says something like, I just think that you make my life so much bigger, and I'm wondering if I do the same for you. And like something like that is just something that has stuck with me since the day I watched Past Lives, because maybe that part I can bring back to Victoria, where like she means so much to me, and she's brought so much into my life, and she's expanded my world so much. And I always think like, have I done the same for her? And in this case of Past Lives, it's a little deeper, I think, there, because obviously Nora has that instance, from her childhood where there's just so much going on with this relationship with Wei Sung and Nora. And that line just has really stuck with me ever since. And I don't think Materialists has like something that powerful, something that memorable. I love the scene where Pedro and Dakota Johnson are on a date and they're talking about like why she's not right for him, why he's a unicorn, what he should be looking for. And it's a really awesome.
I'll just throw on spoilers now so we can talk freely about stuff.
Yeah. Throw on spoilers. But yeah, I love that sequence where they're kind of going back and forth talking about dating culture and why you're too heavily reliant on these numbers of dating apps, and what it says about the person on paper versus what you're going to get about the person in person when you're actually like interacting with them IRL. And I think that's a really powerful scene, a really good scene. That's the only scene that I kind of came away from thinking like, okay, that's a really powerful and impressive bit of writing around this particular culture in romance that Celine Song's trying to give us. Whereas like the remainder of the movie, I didn't feel that way. Unfortunately, I didn't attach myself to a lot of this movie. I know you said Chris Evans, you were happy to see him in this role. I struggled to buy into him. And I think like, he did Red One last year, and now you want me to buy into him as like this hopeless romantic and playing in this very serious role that's supposed to have like profound impact on their audience. Like I couldn't take it seriously, unfortunately. And I don't know. It devalued a lot of sequences, the whole scene after that wedding where they kiss and they leave the barn and they're having this emotional conversation. There's just such a stale expression on Chris Evans' face that I just could never buy into. So I don't know. I struggle with romance films here and there, just because if most romance films I cannot relate to, like I said, We Live in Time came out last year, and that's the first romance film where I could pull like really particular bits from that movie and put it back on my relationship. And even that movie, it's not a 1-for-1, comparison to my relationship. So if I'm watching a movie, Past Lives is a great example again, but if I'm watching a movie where I just can't pull anything from that movie and relate it back to my personal experience in romance with Victoria over the last decade, you need to do something else that's really going to latch me on to whatever themes you're throwing in my face, or whatever narrative you want me to buy into. And I don't think this movie had that, whatever that may be. I don't think it had like those awesome, emotional, profound moments. I don't think it had those, emotionally resonating conversations or bits of dialogue that I'm going to look back on and say, oh, like I really, really like that. I really, really adored that. But again, I'm not going to like, I almost kind of regret throwing a 3-star rating on this. I feel like it's a little bit disingenuous because, like I said, I do think it's a well-constructed movie. I think Celine Song obviously has this really clean and sharp eye for aesthetic, and she captures New York in a way that, a lot of filmmakers nowadays can't necessarily capture New York. She captures the more elegant side of New York, the more, West Village, Chelsea-esque side of New York, which I think when people want to show New York in film, it's more so chaotic, it's more so fast-paced, it's more so aggressive and angry. Whereas I love, like, between Past Lives and Materialists, I love the side of New York that Celine Song is kind of capturing. It's just more quiet, it's more reserved, tame. It's a really beautiful side of New York, and I think it's awesome to kind of to watch unfold. But unfortunately, I don't think the narrative or the dialogue is as strong as I would have liked it to be. But I understand that, my personal experience, I think, just hinders that engagement with this film, which again, I don't think is a bad thing. I'm happy to have lived this 10-year relationship with Victoria that is only really going to get started in July when we get married. But I don't think this movie kind of hit either of us as hard as we wanted it to. Just because of our experience. I'm very, I'm very thankful that I never had to like experience dating life in New York. I don't think I have the patience or the temperament to do that. I don't think someone who doesn't like to go out to the club or go out to bars is the type to be in the dating scene in New York. So I love Victoria endlessly, and I love that I have her in my life. So shout out Victoria for taking me away from that pitiful dating culture in New York. I went to I'm gonna throw my sister in the spotlight right now. My sister is turning 30 on Monday, actually, so the day this episode releases. So happy birthday, Christina. But she's single in New York. She walked out of the movie. She was like, that was the worst movie I could have possibly watched. Because there's like the one scene where Sophie is like, oh, I'm gonna die alone, and she's like a 30-year-old. We're home for the weekend, so we're at our parents. We come home and we start laughing about it with my parents, and my sister's like, yeah, that was just the worst movie I could have possibly watched right now as I'm turning 30 in 2 days. So that was a fun. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw my sister under the bus like that. But it was funny because, like, again, like, she's the perfect audience for this movie. Like, that movie hit her emotionally because she's living that type of life. But Victoria and I, we aren't, we're not. So I don't know. I like the movie. I do like the movie, and I think just slapping a 3-star rating on it was a bit disingenuous. But like I said in my Letterboxd review, I'll be keen to rewatch it now, knowing the journey and kind of what to expect. I think a part of it was also I'm so far removed from like that date, like I said, that dating culture in New York that I don't know, the idea of like a matchmaker, it's a little corny to me, and I don't mean to discredit anyone that works in that industry or if anyone's using a matchmaker, but as someone that's just never experienced like my entire generation's dating culture, is all like most of it was just very like corny to me. And I don't mean that in the bad way. Again, it comes down to just my experience. So I'd love to rewatch this movie in a more intimate setting as well. I think, Past Lives just worked better, like at home in my dark apartment. And I hope Materialists does the same, but I'd love to revisit this movie just now, like more so understanding the culture of dating that Celine Song is trying to put to screen. But yeah.
I didn't even know if matchmakers, like, I'm sure they do exist, but yeah, it's like, I can't even imagine what that's like. I feel like it makes sense for like uber famous people where it's like, you're on the go, you have like a celebrity lifestyle and you need like to be paired up with someone pretty much that's, I mean, sometimes they find like a normal partner, but I feel like most of the time you want to find someone who's knows what that's like. So it's like, I can see like a matchmaker there, but yeah, I know matchmakers absolutely do exist, but the way I kind of like took it was just kind of the matchmaking aspect being just like a stand of like Hinge, Tinder, et cetera, where, the synopsis kind of tells like obviously the synopsis of the film where it's like the perfect match is Pedro Pascal, who is like this unicorn, like they call it, who's basically someone who checks all the boxes that any girl could ever want, like good looking, tall, wealthy, successful, polished, everything you could ever want on paper. And then her ex, who is Chris Evans, who they were dating, and basically she broke up with him because he's too poor. He's trying to make it for himself in the arts, but not working out. So he's doing what many people have to do. And like, he's waiting tables, side gigs here and there, just trying to make ends meet. And as Dakota Johnson calls herself, she is materialistic. Like, she wants the fancy dinners. She wants the nice luxury. She doesn't want to have to be worried about paying parking fees in New York City. So they break up. And then she's this young matchmaker who's so locked in on just, what are your stats? Okay, this person has other stats that match. Great. Perfect. You guys should go on a date. And most of the time it ends up not actually being successful. Like, you get like 3 instances in the movie, I think, of like matches she sets up, and the first couple, or at least first one, they were like, no, not really interested in like seeing him again. And then at least on one end of it, and then that leaves the woman devastated. And then there's another match where it goes down the crazy route that I didn't see this film going, where there's a sexual assault involved, which I've seen a lot of people call like really bizarre, crazy, and unrealistic, but I never really got that. I was like, obviously this stuff happens all the time. And I was like, I don't know, a lot of people like online, especially men, which is like not really their spot to speak anyway. So like, there's no way it would like a sexual assault will ever happen like this. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just like, I've been to a university with tens of thousands of people and just like been and living in big cities. Like I know the type of shit that happens, and it's like that's it. When it happened in the movie, I was like shocked that people were so jarred by it. I was like, that's like not the most, unfortunately, not the most like out there thing to imagine ever happen. But it's like not where I would expect the film to go at all, because basically Dakota Johnson gets this call that a match that she set up led to a sexual assault. And that is kind of where the whole second half of the film veers off. She kind of breaks things off with Pedro Pascal because she realizes like she doesn't really know anything about him other than surface level. Whereas, and then again, the second half of the movie is like her kind of rekindling things with Chris Evans while also like tracking down this, the victim of the sexual assault, and, like trying to get to her house. And like the guy ends up showing up at her house, and it becomes almost like a thriller at the end where it's like, hurry up and race to the house. You have an hour to get there. There's creepy guys outside my house, like trying to get in. And I'm like, whoa, this is like not what I was expecting this movie at all. But I think the big thing at the crux of this film is I never bought into Pedro Pascal and Dakota Johnson's romance, which is like the point because they're not supposed to be compatible. But even then, like even like the sexual tension or attraction, like the surface level attraction they're supposed to have, I didn't really see it. And again, maybe that's just me having problems with Dakota Johnson's acting. But then similarly with her and Chris Evans, it's like, I don't know. Basically, they sell you at the beginning that their relationship fell apart because they're, he's poor and she doesn't like that. And then by the end, like she kind of accepts like, well, you're not perfect, but like we could make this work together. And I just never really bought that. Like her switch flipped in her head. That she's like, yeah, I'm like fully ready to like put this previous life behind me and move on to this. So I think the core three were supposed to sell the movie, which I think they sold the movie great in past lives. And the core three here, maybe individually works, but didn't really work well in these couples that, just kind of removed any tension. But I think it's a fine movie at tackling, dating apps and surface level romance versus true love and connection and the difficulties and trials and tribulations that you have to go through and anything you're going to make work, and everything's not always going to be perfect. Even if, in your mind, you think everyone could just be a perfect match if their stats match up. So I liked the movie. I thought it was cute. But that's about it. It does feel like a bit like a successful modern rom-com, because everyone always talks about rom-coms need to come back. Again, I agree. There's not much comedy in this, but in terms of like a romance drama, I feel like nowadays, so many rom-coms, rom-drams are resorted to, like, and I really like Anyone But You. But these movies that are almost like caricatures of themselves, where they get like so ridiculous and so silly and out there that it's hard to take seriously. And again, I can have fun with movies like those, but we don't get many like serious romances anymore, rom-coms, rom-drams. And I feel like this succeeded in that, but I just think some of the things fell flat that didn't come together for me. So 3 stars, liked it, didn't love it. I'm on a 3-star streak of new releases with Phoenicia Scheme, How to Train Your Dragon, and Materialists, which just feels like such a cop-out score, but I'm just slapping. Not a bad movie, just didn't love it pretty much the last 3.
No, I respect the 3-star scheme. But I'm right there with you. I'm happy you kind of brought up that switch that Dakota Johnson's character made, because I feel like I've seen no one talking about that. And that's not like a negative for me in the movie, but I swear, one scene, she's going in on Chris Evans. She's like, I broke up with you because you were poor. I broke up with you because you do not have enough money. I don't want to fight over $25 parking. I don't want to have to spend our 5-year anniversary at some crappy restaurant. And then like 2 scenes later, she's quitting her job and she's making this switch to, I don't need all of the material sides of a relationship. I'm going to try and make it work with my ex, who still isn't making a lot of money. It was a very interesting, quick switch where it kind of just goes back to what I was saying earlier, where like, I don't think I really bought into just how quickly this movie moved. And also, I didn't buy into her breaking up with Pedro Pascal's character. There was, I think they built up that relationship in the first half of the movie better than the Chris Evans relationship. They gave us a little montage of like going on dates. They gave us that one really awesome scene at the expensive restaurant where they're talking about, what they're looking for and why you can't always just look at the paper. You have to actually experience the human being in person. And, there's discussions of their family life and their upbringing. And then she breaks up with him, just kind of, I don't know. It moved so quickly. And I don't think I really ever like was on board with, any decisions that our characters were truly making. But I don't know, even Dakota Johnson's character pulling out like the engagement ring from his luggage, like I was like, oh, that's really already like I haven't heard you guys once say I love you to each other, and you got a engagement ring in there. Very interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I came away a little more neutral on this film. Like I said, I think Celine Song has proven that she has an awesome eye and she can construct sequences and scenes and shots really nicely. I don't think this narratively works as well, even remotely as well as like a Past Lives did. But yeah, that's anything else you want to touch on the Materialists? I know we're not really like going like breakdown scene for scene the way we did with Dragon, but fairly and I don't know. I don't want to be rude to Celine Song, but this is just such a fairly straightforward rom-com drama where I think I expect a little more nuance, a little more depth, something a little more profound coming off of Past Lives. But yeah, so that's Materialist. 3 stars from the both of us. Just kind of sneaking its way outside of my top 10 of the year. I'm only really ranking 3.5s and above right now, so it's not even going to be on my 2025 ranking. But let's text the boys. So we'll move into some news, dude. I was going through like the news last night. Was it like a slow week for movie news? Because I feel like the list I put together is not as long as it usually is.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't know. I feel like I wasn't super locked into news this week, but it didn't seem like there was a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't know. Not a whole lot. A lot of trailers. So trailers I'm excited to discuss. So we could start without the fellas while they come back. We got the new Superman trailer. This trailer sold me a lot harder than the first trailer. Seth is back.
I'm alive.
What's
you
up,
fucking yapatrons.
Seth told us 2 hours ago that he'll be on in a half hour, and then we yapped for 2 hours on.
It's my bad. I forgot how Strange Dragon was this week. I was Materialists.
No, it's all right. Still appreciate you making the time to jump on for a little bit, but we'll turn it over to you immediately for Superman, because I know this trailer sold you a little bit more than it did.
Yeah, I mean, like I was already excited, hesitantly so, but I think the last trailer, I think me and like Tyler put it in the group chat when I mentioned it, like the kind of whimsical nature to it all, feels very James Gunn like. I also think the grading, the colors actually looked better on this trailer as well. I don't know whether that's just a post-production thing or a trailer thing or whatever it might be, but I think it just looked better in general.
Yeah.
I think it like looked kind of like cartoonish, not in a visual stylish, but like, for example, that bit in the trailer when Superman punches him and then his teeth go out, hits the screen, just kind of cool, like stuff like that. And I think what James Gunn has and what he does so well is he brings his own unique comedic and like silly style to these films, which for something like Superman I think is needed. Obviously, not to do what everyone's doing and just compare it directly to like Man of Steel, for example, but it's going to be like tonally like massively different. And that's speaking from people who I think all of us here like Man of Steel, especially the man called Movies and Stuff for 14.
So one of the greatest ever, one of the greatest films ever made.
Yeah, love it. But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited. I think like James Gunn, I'm there with it now. Like, I don't know which I'm more excited for, Fantastic Four or Superman. Like, if you'd asked me before this trailer, I would have said Fantastic Four for sure. But now I'm like, they both look cool. And I'm looking forward to this. This trailer definitely sold me more than the first kind of like 3-minute one we had or whatever it was.
Yeah, that first trailer was long as hell. But no, I agree with you. I think the color grading on this trailer is like it's not as like in your face, bright and like cartoony the way like the first trailer was, I think. And I think that's what's selling a lot of people, that there's a little bit more confidence in the image that you're going to be looking at. I don't think anyone doubts James Gunn's writing. Like, he's obviously proven that he loves
James Gunn has haters.
Everyone has haters, man. We have haters.
No, but James Gunn he's like one of those Twitter names, isn't it? We speak a lot. Yeah,
maybe I'm just. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. Cam, any new thoughts on Superman, or same as always? Hype as fuck.
I'm holding my tongue. I'm not accepting. I'm not accepting this switch up of Seth and Tyler being excited for it. I'm not accepting.
Sorry, let's revert back to my first trailer. I said I was excited, just not that excited.
I'm not accepting. Us superheads were here
from day
we were
one.
Here.
We're here from day
I'm a
one.
superhead.
And when this is the best movie of all time, I will be
All
here.
right, man.
I will be here.
If it's
right.
the best movie of all
Doing my
time,
thing.
I'll freak out.
Yeah, but it looks awesome, and this is going to be the best movie ever. It's going to be Superman's hopeful and joyful, and Lois
Whimsical.
Lane's doing stuff and not just serving face the entire time. And
Dude,
Skylar Gizondo's
so sick.
Skylar Gizondo's doing stuff and being Jimmy Olsen and not just getting shot in the desert, and actually has character, personality. Real movies.
What's the
It's about to be a real movie.
Skylar Gisondo.
Skylar Gisondo, the Jizz Man.
How do I spell that?
Dude.
Gisondo.
GIS. Yeah, M-O-N.
Because I noticed it
Gisondo or
yesterday.
Gizmondo? Is it an
Yeah,
M?
yesterday he followed me on Instagram, so maybe I should message him.
He
And
followed
like,
you
yo.
on Instagram? You're like,
I
yo,
think so.
let me
Get him
know
on
what's
the
Tell
pod.
up.
him I've already decided it's the best movie ever and ask him if he wants to be on the pod.
Yeah.
Maybe I should
Tell
say
him
after it's released.
Jimmy Man, Jim guy, James.
Big Jimbo.
People, hilarious week of marketing for James Gunn though, because yeah, George, you're just not chronically online enough. People really hate this guy, but super funny. They did like an Entertainment Weekly, like or maybe Variety front pages or something of the magazine, and it's like Lois Lane and Clark Kent on the front of one cover, and then James Gunn on the other, and people are just like super mad that he's like promoting himself, and it's very funny. And then like the Rolling Stones cover of Sabrina Carpenter came out, and like he also has an article in there, so like his name is on the side, and so like people were like making jokes about that. It's just a very funny week. And then they had the like whole cast like pulling a tug of war against crypto as like another marketing thing, and he's in that, and like people just love to get mad at the guy for that kind of thing, and that's very funny. Very funny stuff.
Nah, fuck this guy, man. I think you unfollowed me already, so I don't fucking care about him anymore.
Lame. Damn it, Skylar
Yeah.
Gisondo.
I think he actually followed me for like a day, by the way. What a fucking
What's his name?
Skylar
Gisondo.
Gisondo?
I'm not gonna lie, not knowing the Jizz Man is crazy. That's actually insane. That he has the fish in Tasm. Shit, what fish?
I don't even know he's in Tasm. He's my favorite part of Licorice Pizza, and I love him in Santa Clarita Diet. Great show.
What is he? What's the movie? He's like Chow or something, and on the plane.
Licorice Pizza.
Is that
best scene of the movie? Yeah.
Hell yeah. But yeah, he's Gwen Stacy's brother in Tasm, and he talks about the branzino. That's the fish. It's like, you don't know how to cut branzino or something.
I don't remember him.
Shout out to
That
Jizz
is
Man.
funny. Shout out to Jizz Man.
Hilarious looking fella. Hilarious looking fella.
So
not like
mean.
in a bad way, just kind of gives off funny vibes. So shout out.
He gives off cartoon journalist vibes.
Yeah, that's what we need from the man.
We got a new trailer.
Shout out Superman.
New trailer for Ari Aster's Eddington, starring Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, Austin Butler, Joaquin Phoenix. Tyler, I'll turn it over to you. You're the resident Ari Aster slophead. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, we got the ass head in here. I'm excited for this. I think it looks good. I think a lot of people are thinking this looks awful, and that's fine. I think Ari Aster hasn't missed me personally. I think anyone who says we don't want movies about the COVID era is just lazy and a baby and needs to grow up. You need art to speak to parts of your life, even if you didn't love that part of your life. I think we have gotten a severe lack of anyone trying to make a commentary on anything from that 4-year period of everyone's lives. So I'm excited to see that.
You think it was a 4-year period? COVID era?
It depends. I mean, Indiana might have been a 3-month period, but some places of the country, we were locked down a lot longer. So
that's fair. Yeah, that's very fair.
It was at least 2 years, like life being fully altered.
I'll give you that.
But yeah, us big city folk, we definitely lasted a little longer, I feel like. But Yeah, I'm excited to see someone tackle this time period. We don't see a ton of it, and again, it was a big chunk of modern history, and I think the cast is all incredible. I think it looks like it's going to be a movie that will be really annoying to some people, but to me, I'm excited for it. It's a whole bunch of people I like, directed by a director who I've liked all his stuff. He's a very divisive guy, but he hasn't missed for me personally. But yeah, Eddington, I'm excited for it. This year has been not underwhelming. It's been a solid year for movies, but we just mentioned with Materialists, like I'm on a streak of like 3 stars, and Phoenician Scheme and Materialists are 2 movies that I gave 3 stars that I was kind of like expecting more from. So hopefully this doesn't keep the theme going where I'm like disappointed by this, because we're at the halfway point of the year, and I'm like, George mentioned earlier, like Sinners is still his movie of the year, and he doesn't see that changing. And maybe it changes for me, but certainly nothing's really like touching Sinners right now or come close to it. I want more movies that I'm like Final Destination Bloodlines. I love that movie, but it's in my top 4. Like, let's get serious. 2025. Let's get some heavy hitters out.
Yeah, 2025 has actually been quite weak.
It
Lack
has.
of heavy hitters.
Like I feel like by now we've always had I'm trying to go back. Did
I mean,
Oppenheimer come out? That was a May
Dune
release.
and Furiosa.
Dune,
No, that was
Furiosa.
July. Yeah, we had Dune
Was
and
Oppenheimer
Furiosa.
July?
We did
July.
have Dune and Furiosa. Yeah,
But like even back, like we had Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Like,
Past
I mean, we
Lives.
saw Sinners this year, but that's
Past
really good.
Lives.
I mean, the Sinners is like
Sinners is great. Sinners is
Sinners
amazing.
is like
Top heavy, but the rest
Sinners is
of
like
it.
the Batman of 2022. Like it was like the earlier release that really popped and everyone kind of loved to a sense, but there hasn't really been like another.
I mean, yeah, looking at last year, like
Thunderbolts.
at this point last year,
Thunderbolts.
for me, I know others on this podcast differ, but Challengers Trap, Furiosa, Dune Part 2 were already in the hopper.
I mean, that was
Those
like
are all-
4 of my top 10 already.
Right. Yeah. So
Well, like three.
I think the rest of 2025 looks great. But basically, all I'm saying about Eddington is I hope it's not another movie that I'm excited for that I end up liking, but I'm like, okay.
It's already other than next week. Oh my god, next week.
28 years later, big time.
God, I'm so
Yeah.
fucking horny. for that
28 years
film,
later,
man.
I'm so excited for. I was just
Yeah.
looking at my AMC, dude. We're being fed. We're being fed. I go for 28 years later to F1 to Fantastic Four to Superman.
Is F1 next week or the week after?
No, we get
Or week after. Next
F1's
week is
getting
Elio,
really great
and-
reviews too.
F1
Yeah,
is
which
getting-
isn't like
I'm
super
excited.
shocking because I feel like Joseph Kaczynski like knows how to do fast paced like movies
loud,
and stuff like that.
yeah.
Like so
Joe
it's kind of in his
Kosinski.
wheelhouse. But
he's a goat.
yeah, we'll see.
the general
I'm
public
excited
not
for
like
it.
excited for 28 years later. I know the pre-sales are really all, but like I just saw, I guess a
Well,
TikTok
fuck
ad,
them.
and all the
I'm
comments
so
are
excited.
negative.
How?
top comment
No,
on
that's
28 years
crazy.
later trailer on TikTok is boots ass movie.
How? How?
It looks
How do you
so
watch that
good.
trailer and like not.
How do you watch
Even
one
Anna,
of the
who hates
greatest?
these sort of films? She watched in cinema. She was like, "I fucking hate horrors, but that looks fucking amazing."
Mhm.
Like that's
I'm
it's
excited.
crazy. Oh man,
That
So
trailer,
horny.
one of
I'm
the
excited.
best horror trailers I've ever seen.
Love
We
the trailers.
got a new teaser for Him, the new horror film produced by Jordan Peele and directed by Justin
Football.
Tipping, which follows a college quarterback taken into a sinister world by his idol to see what he's willing to sacrifice for fame. That sounds cool as fuck, and I really like this trailer.
I
Kind of
It looks
all I
good.
wanna-
I mean,
it looks
I don't
so
really know
like
much about
it's
it,
such
but-
an interesting like it's so interesting to like throw like horror into like the perspective of a college athlete. Like I don't think we've ever like we've obviously had college football movies, college movies, sports movies, but turning it into a like psychological horror movie sounds awesome. I don't know if you guys ever watched The Novice, which is the movie about that girl who goes to college and basically comes in as like a inexperienced crew rower. And she basically pushes herself to the limit of becoming the best of the best. And that's like the most psychological, torturous sports college movie I think I've ever seen. Probably the only one I've ever seen. So I'm
have
interested
you
to
not
see.
seen The Rise of Thadland?
hell yeah.
No.
You could argue that's
I-
pretty psychological.
I have not watched The Rise of Thadland.
Oh shit, man! What a picture.
We got a first trailer for The Lost Bus, which is the Matthew McConaughey starring film, which is his first lead role in quite some
Correct.
time. I should have pulled this up. But
I'll get it,
someone,
hold on.
yeah, pull that up. Let me know
Matthew.
when. But the film follows a school bus driver who drove through one of America's deadliest wildfires to save 22 children. That sounds cool. That sounds like a Joe Kosinski movie, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
I don't
because he
know.
directed that firefighter movie.
Directed Only the Brave, directs high-paced adrenaline rush films. Like,
His
sounds
last-
like
His last lead was probably The Beach Bum, which was like Harmony Korine's probably his most liked film, maybe. And then maybe you count The Gentleman as well, not lead, but like kind of lead. That was 2019, so it's been 6 years since his last one.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy.
A long time.
Yeah, he's had one of the more interesting post-Oscar careers where
He said,
He's just kinda
"Screw it, I'm
beat-
gonna go be at Texas."
I'm
I was
gonna
gonna say
be
Texas
I'm-
Longhorn
Longhorn.
football finally started being good again. He's like, all right, got to put acting to the side.
I don't
and do
care about
film again.
acting anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been chilling. Good for him, man. I want to get to that point in life.
He
where
was
I
in
can just
Deadpool and Wolverine.
He was in
I don't
Deadpool.
remember that.
I see he's credited on it. So
I mean,
As
I
what?
believe you. Some cameo, probably. What's he credited as?
Cowboy Pool.
Hmm.
Oh
Whatever.
yeah, he's wearing a mask on the
remember.
horse in the last scene. Not the last scene, but the
Oh
scene.
yeah.
Yeah.
Probably just called
Okay.
in on speakerphone to record his line. He's like, all right, that'll do it.
100%. Yeah, 100%. New trailer for Chad Powers, the new comedy series starring Glenn Powell. I'm really
Right.
excited for this. I love Glenn Powell. I'll be on board
He
with
can do
anything
no
he
wrong
does.
right now.
He could do no wrong. He's slowly building up such an awesome filmography. But the series follows a failed college quarterback who joins a struggling Southern football team disguised as the talented Chad Powers, based off of like that Eli Manning skit that he did where he went to Penn State and tried out under the alias Chad Powers. So I'm excited. I like Glenn Powell. He's going to have a big year coming up with this and The Running Man. And the potential for Top Gun Maverick 2, or Top Gun 3, actually, not Top Gun Maverick 2. My bad. And then we got the first trailer first teaser for Spaceballs 2. I have to watch Spaceballs 1.
This is the big what the hell are we doing of the week?
Yeah.
Like, what are
I
we doing?
kind of figured.
Crazy interactions on this though. I didn't realize like how much people were excited about.
I love
this.
that. Like,
I-
everyone went crazy over the trailer. I love like the trailer, how it's like, look at all this slop we've had. It's time for us to become slop and get a sequel. Like, I don't know. I feel like,
don't really love
this
the
is
first
weird. I don't know.
film,
I
like,
watched
It's gonna be very,
Spaceballs
like,
when I was a kid. I don't remember anything of it.
It's like a
but-
dad. Like it's Mel Brooks.
It's a
you know,
very
classic,
dad
like,
thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
watched
it's like-
Spaceballs
I mean,
as a
Mel
kid
Brooks did,
as
like,
well.
Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, very like dad comedies. They're fine, but especially Spaceballs, I wasn't that huge when I watched it anyway. But people
Yeah,
people are excited about this. So
It's just a much worse version of the Family Guy Star Wars like episode.
That is fair. We need
it's-
to review them, by the way.
It's less
I
fun.
need
It's
to.
a less fun Family Guy Star Wars episodes, but I
True.
liked it as a kid, obviously, because it was like stupid humor that was like above my head at the time. But yeah, I feel like it's not going to make any money because I think people like think it's going to be this like big hit because it used to be a cultural thing. I think it's got a very niche following, and they expect to do well, and it's just not. It's just going to be like, I'm sorry, Josh Gad, I love you, but like,
Talk your shit.
you're the worst.
Why?
No, he's not. He's fantastic. Like I love him in some things, and then he does like a lot of things that just suck.
Who's Josh?
Josh Gad, go back to doing the internship. The internship.
Oh
you're-
fucking
you're-
hell! This guy,
Oh.
that filmography is crazy.
Fucking Olaf's. He
Fuck, man.
he
Oh my
caught.
god!
He just caught
Yeah.
the money of Olaf and decided I have to get. I'm the new Olaf guy. Like
He's in-
everything's money now.
Nothing good.
Yeah, he sucks. Sorry, whatever. We'll move on to
God,
movie
Steve
news.
Martin acting.
We're continuing the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson assance because Darren Aronofsky is in talks to direct Breakthrough, which will likely which is starring Dwayne Johnson, which I think we spoke about this project like 2 episodes ago, but there wasn't a director attached to it. But now there's still not a director attached to it. Let me make that very clear. This is
Darren
only in
There
talks.
might be.
Is
Aronofsky
Darren Aronofsky canceled? I feel like he's a canceled director.
Yeah,
Is
because he
he?
made the whale. Oh, God.
I still haven't seen The Whale. Thank you.
No,
No,
That's
he's
no
not.
movie.
He's not. I don't think he's like I don't
Is
think he
he?
got cancelled.
I don't know who I'm thinking of him.
You're
but-
thinking
I
of
mean,
David
he's-
O. Russell. You're thinking of David O.
That's
Russell.
who I'm thinking of.
Maybe,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe,
the
yeah,
letter
yeah.
D.
He's very much cancelled. Fuck that guy.
In fairness, everyone in Hollywood is probably cancelable for
Probably has
something
done
called-
something to be canceled,
Yeah,
no doubt.
for sure.
But yes, I was mixing it because I thought he did some real sinister stuff, and I was like,
No,
Yeah.
that's David O. Russell.
That's
Yeah.
Scott
okay.
Derrickson.
sinister. Good joke. Good joke.
That was a good joke. I liked it. It was
Yes,
funny.
nailed it. First try.
Amusing. Enjoyed it.
Back to McConaughey. He will star as a private investigator, Mike Hammer, in the new film written by Nick Pizzolatto, who wrote True Detective. That's awesome. I consider True Detective season 1 to be, I mean, I'm going to stretch it from beyond just one of the greatest limited series seasons of television ever. I think it's one of the greatest seasons of television ever.
You
period.
consider it a limited season? I know they're not. I know they're separated, but can you?
Yeah, I
The
still,
anthology
if
seasons, aren't
yeah, if I were to rank limited series, I would still include True Detective season 1. But
So
it is,
you'd
it
include
is
like.
an anthology.
So you'd include like. I mean, I don't know if you've seen like like American Horror
Horror.
Story.
Yeah, I would include individual seasons of American Horror Story. Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, I'm probably wrong in that logic because
I get
are
it though, because they're not connected in any way. So.
Yeah, but yeah, I would, but I think that's an awesome collab to bring back, and I'm excited for it. Clark Kent, James Gunn revealed that Clark Kent has been Superman for 3 years at the start of James Gunn's Superman. I like that. I liked it. Back when the MCU was introducing Spider-Man, and he was Spider-Man for like a year into Homecoming, and I like it. Like,
story.
Yeah, it's like the bits. Like Ben Parker dies, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, it. Like same thing with Superman. Like we know Superman's origin story. If you want to watch a Superman origin story movie, go watch Superman. Go watch Man of Steel. Like let's just move on. Like we know the origin. Bring us into the world. Like I love that decision. That decision was made recently with another movie, and I'm forgetting.
Fantastic
Superhero film?
Yeah, Fantastic Four. No, Fantastic Four is kind of an origin story. No,
it's not.
Really?
They're in there. They're there.
I think
okay,
you might get like flashbacks to them like flying up.
Okay, I think
that's
that's
not
like
it's not going to be a.
Okay.
Origin.
Either way,
I think the majority of like comic book Hollywood is going away from origin stories because like the Sony Spider-Verse, like they just couldn't get away from it. Like the Spider-Man villain verse just couldn't get away from it, and they all get just destroyed. But yeah, I think the general consensus of like comic book movies right now is that like people get it. People know Spider-Man. People know, just tell other stories of it.
Exactly. Which is
awesome. I think he had a fun quote also in this interview where he was basically talking about like how metahumans themselves are like basically they're well incorporated into this universe. They've been around forever. It's like basically seeing like a celebrity. He was saying like if you saw a shark person walking around in real life, you'd like lose your shit. But if you see a shark person walking around in this universe, it'd be like seeing like Halle Berry or something, or like a major celebrity walking around.
Bird.
So that I think that's more fun to like be in these. I think that and like this like Fantastic Four universe where they're like celebrities and everyone loves them is like a more fun like comic book universe to be in, rather than like the what if superheroes were in our world. It's like, what if we were in like a superheroes world? Like, what if this was just a regular thing and people weren't hiding and they were just like metahumans walking around? Like that'd be fun.
Agree. I think it allows
called let me clue you in on something. It's called The Boys. That's the world we are talking about.
No, that's like what if superheroes were real?
Yeah, what do you
this is like what
you're saying like in this other universe, in this other reality where it's just like I think it allows James Gunn
like
as well.
Everyone is a superhero?
No. I'm just saying like what if superheroes were just like common around? Like The Boys is like what if superheroes were real and assholes? This is just like what if superheroes were just like walking around day-to-day life, like people were just superheroes. It wasn't like a big deal. Just like
it allows
that's more fun to me.
It allows James Gunn to be like more silly with it as well.
Yeah, like he's got like my prediction is that Superman opens up with him fighting that giant kaiju.
I think so as well.
That's how it opens up.
Yeah,
shows it a lot. Yeah, because it's the very first fight. I that's my guess. But like, I think you can do like silly things like a giant kaiju fighting through the city if this is like a common thing. Like
a common thing. It's not just like this huge
Yeah,
moment,
like you could do
a Godzilla
Galactus
moment.
walking on Earth and being a giant man if like these people have been around forever and they're or been around for a while and like the city knows they're fighting rather than like obviously that's a big deal, but like if a giant man is walking through your city, but like they know superheroes are around, they get it, they get the vibe. You don't have to do like the freak out.
Powerless, the show,
like the TV show. Yeah, I watched a couple episodes. It wasn't very good. It was like a comedy show where it was like people living in a superhero world, basically.
Which is weird because this came out in 2017, only had one season. I swear, like 2 years ago, there was like discourse of people being like, they should make a movie or a show like about like the people that just like live in the superhero world but aren't super.
It did not.
I guess they tried that, did 12 episodes and it didn't work and got canceled. But
I remember it wasn't very funny though. That's the issue. Like it was a comedy show that wasn't very funny because I watched like 2 episodes and was like, yeah, that's good enough. It's not Anna Kendrick, but who's the actress in it?
Vanessa Hudgens.
That's it. Yeah. But not a great show.
I do remember that.
Either way. Let's go. Shout out Superman, best movie of all time, best movie ever, best movie ever thought of.
Maybe another best movie of all time incoming, but James Gunn revealed that Wonder Woman is in the works. We kind of figured Wonder Woman was coming, but we didn't. I don't think a lot of people expected it this soon. Fan casts going out all over the place, from Adria Arjona to Charlie Frazier from Furiosa and Anyone But You. I think it'll be more of like the David Corenswet like route where like he's a name, but like he's not as known as like an Adria Arjona. It'll be. Like
I don't think Adria Arjona is a name that most people
really know. After Andor and Hitman.
I agree with Cam, but I also
is not like a cultural.
She's a name.
I mean,
she's not like a big name.
I mean, if she's not a big,
she's a bigger name than David Corenswet though.
Then cast her. Then that's sick. I
definitely agree. She is a bigger name than David Corenswet. But like, if you go ask your parents if they know Adria Arjona, like if they know just her name,
they probably wouldn't.
Yeah, like my parents definitely would not. Like I'll do a little poll at work, just like see how many people know the name Adria Arjona. Like Hitman isn't that like culturally significant. Good movie, big fan.
Yeah.
Star Wars Andor is a big show within the Star Wars and movie community, but it's not like it's not like a big blockbuster movie that everyone saw. It's very popular, but not as much as like a movie.
That Blink Twice, Zoe Kravitz's debut from last year. That's probably her most popular work.
Still never saw that.
No, I don't think anyone knows that movie exists.
Yeah, no one knows that movie exists.
I'm going to give you a little factoid here, Cameron. Bear in mind, obviously, Letterboxd is kind of niche and whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, Hitman came out like nearly 2 years before, like a year and a half before. That has 670k logs. Blink Twice has 710k logs.
Damn. All right.
Blink Twice is like in the cultural zeitgeist much more than Hitman is. Genuinely, honestly. Like, it was quite a big thing.
Honestly, more. I actually am going to tell you you're wrong because Morbius is probably her biggest film.
Morbius is likely her biggest film.
People don't know her from it, but like
she's on the same level as like Monica Barbaro. Maybe under Monica Barbaro.
Very. I'll give you that. But damn, she was in Father of the Bride. I think I got halfway through this movie before stopping. It sucked.
I recently watched Father of the Bride like a year ago, maybe.
So bad. But I mean, if we're going Letterboxd numbers, it only has 463,000 logs.
Morbius?
Morbius, yeah.
Wow.
So I don't think you can entirely go Letterboxd logs. 6 Underground, man, what a not good movie. Dang, Adria Arjona. I think now that she's popular, she can get better films.
Yeah.
So, but man, not a great filmography.
Bad.
Either
bad
way, shout out her. Hopefully she does well. I want her is Wonder Woman. Remember when they said Gal Gadot might come back?
No way. Please,
that was a while ago. It's not going to happen. But like when he first took over DC, they talked.
It won't happen. Yeah,
I know, dude. Imagine if Superman were not directed by James Gunn and it was directed by Zack Snyder, and then you had Henry Cavill instead of David Corenswet.
Let's go look at the Restore the Snyderverse Reddit page, see what they're up to.
Get Amy Adams in there too.
Did you guys see that deleted scene from Sinners, the split diopter scene
Yeah,
of
hell yeah.
that was, why would you remove that, man? Why would you
Well,
remove
people
that?
said it's like there's loads of arguments about it would break the kind of pacing of that section. I don't give a fuck. That seems cool.
I don't give a fuck, man. That scene, that would have been in contention for best scene of the movie.
Still
if
could
it
have been
was
edited
still-
into the movie, and you cut back and forth between
You
other
cut back
things.
a little bit. And go back and
Yeah,
forth. Yeah,
still would have been so
I really
slick.
liked it. It was really cool.
Awesome stuff.
God, I
And
love
then,
Ryan Coogler, man. What a guy.
Yeah, Ryan Coogler really the man, dude. He really be working. And then season 5 of Stranger Things is not going to be the last Stranger Things stuff we get. I don't know if we knew this, but I just found this out. But we're getting an animated series, Stranger Things Tales from 85, which will be set between seasons 2 and 3 and follows Hawkins' kids facing new monsters. And then they say the story is inspired by the real Ghostbusters, and animation is inspired by Arcane and the Spider-Verse, which is obviously electric. 2 of my favorite animated projects ever.
I feel there's so many animated
Good.
reimaginings right now.
Animation is sick, especially if you're going to animate shit like Arcane and the Spider-Verse. Give it to me all.
Heck yeah.
Never make a live action film again. Everything should be
I agree.
animated going forward by the
No,
Spider-Verse.
because Tyler wouldn't want to live in our world. We can't do that.
It's an
Tyler would
unfortunate.
never watch a movie again.
Mhm.
But all right, that's gonna wrap up Real Talk, episode 145. As always, shout out to our executive producers, Mr. Stefan Johnson, Cody Whitney, and Cole Beaver. We will see everyone on Thursday for our Real Quick, and then we will see patrons on Friday for our patron exclusive review of Billy Wilder's Some Like It Hot. And then next week will be our 28 years later week. Are we doing just 28 years later? Or are we going to do like days and weeks? Is like, should I watch all 3 movies?
I'm gonna watch all 3.
I think we should. It's only 3
Okay.
films.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, cool. So we'll do a whole 28 years, days.
I might not
weeks.
be on next week's episode, by the way. Just
No.
it's Emma's
Fuck.
Shout out.
Emma's
Probably going
birthday
out of
weekend.
town.
A good excuse to get out of watching 3 horror movies. I see you, man.
Yeah, that's
fair.
convenient, Cameron.
That's fair.
You
I actually
can't
really do
hide
want to
from
see it, so
us.
I probably will watch at least 28 days and 28
Emma would
years.
probably like it. Has Emma seen 28 Days?
She hasn't. We started 28 days later,
Really?
like 4 years ago. And she wasn't into it, and I think I had to go to work or
No.
something, and then turned it off. And we only got and by started, I mean we got 5 minutes in max. Like it wasn't like we were halfway through or anything. Like
Watch it.
I think I had to go to work, or I forget exactly what was happening, but didn't finish it.
All right. That'll wrap us up, though. We will see you all on Thursday.
Peace.
Peace.